It was a pitch black room. There were no windows, and by the light from the wick bulb, one could only just barely make out the state of things around them. It appeared to be an old, forgotten, dusty underground storehouse, with some kind of furniture haphazardly thrown into it. However, even with just a little light, one could at least tell that it was probably probably wasn't a storehouse, because that room was sealed off with iron bars.
ここはどこなの?
Where is this?
わからん。
Not a clue.
ここは
Is
屋
this
敷の
place
地下なのか。
underneath the mansion?
食堂の真下に
Was there
こんな部屋
this
が
kind
あ
of
ったのか。
room directly underneath the dining hall? They had been dropped into what had appeared to be a pit and fallen into this room. Therefore, it would be appropriate to think that this room was directly below the dining hall. However, not even Kraus could bring himself to believe that there were pitfalls rigged in the beloved dining hall where he enjoyed his meals for years, and that directly below it was this dungeon-like room. But the ceiling, where they looked up, was made of rugged stone, and they could not understand from where in the ceiling they could have fallen. No, all 5 people who had been dropped here thought the same thing. Although they had felt a sensation of being dropped into a pit, there was no way there could be pitfalls in the dining hall, nor could this dungeon-like place be directly underneath it. But, point of fact, they had fallen into this place and they were locked in. And so they were confused.
あの高さから落ちて
It is
誰
lucky
も
that
怪
no
我をしな
one
かった
was
のは
hurt after
不
falling
運
from
かも
such
し
a
れません
height.
な。シャン、
Sean,
カノ、
Kano,
君たちはこんな部屋の
either
存
of
在
you
は
two
知ってい
know
たか。
about this room?
いいえ、
No.
僕たちも
We also
こ
have
のよう
no
な部屋の
knowledge
こと
of
は
any
存じ
room
かね
like
ます。
this.
本当に?
Really?
本当です。
Really?
本当にこ
We
の部屋
really don't
知
know
りませ
any
ん。
room like this. It seems that Kiryu thought there was a good chance that, despite their age, they might know of the mansion's secret tricks as servant permitted to wear the one-winged eagle. There was a long silence, as if evaluating their answer. No,
いや、
it's probably
シャ
true
ノン
that
た
he
ちは
doesn't
何
know.
しろ
Shannon
綺麗
is
好
a
きのシャ
very
ン。
tidy person, after all.
彼女がこの部屋を
If
知って
she
い
had
たら
known about this room,
Mo
he
to
would
pika-pika
probably have
ni
been
migaki agaru
scrubbed until it was sparkling.
この部屋の
The
汚さ
filth in this room is proof
君
that
た
you
ちが
two
この部屋
don't
を
know
知ら
of
ない
it.
こと今はそんなことよ
More
り
importantly than that,
これから
I
どう
think
する
we
かの
should
方
worry
が先
about
決だと
what to
思
do
うか。
now, don't you?
その通りです。
Exactly.
警察に
We need to call the police or
それから救急
call
に
for
も早く
medical
連絡
assistance
しな
as soon as possible. Nanjo's words rang hollow. Obviously, 6 people had been killed in the dining hall. They all had witnessed the exact moment where the 6 had been killed. And what's more, it had been done by half destroying their heads. Anyone could tell just at a single glance that they have been dealt a fatal injury. Un po' basso? Sembra un po' basso, effettivamente. Mi alzo subito, Giover. Un attimo, Just a moment che si deve aprire finestrelle. Sì, è basso, effettivamente. Non so perché era così basso. Di solito tengo 91, era 74. Dovrebbe essere molto meglio adesso. Everyone understood that calling for an ambulance now would be completely meaningless.
ありがとう、南條先生。
Thank you, Dr.
私た
Ange.
ちは
We
伴
already
侶がもう生き
understand
てはい
that
ない
our
ことを理
partners
解
are
できてる。
no longer
気
alive.
休めでも
Thanks for
救急
trying
と
to
急いでくれ
console
て
us by
あり
mentioning
がとう。
medical assistance.
夏希
Oh mio Dio. Per la prima volta Kraus mostra un po' di amore nei confronti di Natsui incredibile. Once again an oppressive silence took control of them. But Kraus shook his head harshly over and over and decided just for now to forget the pain of losing his wife and dedicate himself to figuring out where they were.
みんな聞きたまえ。
Everyone, listen to me.
親父はもう
That is
ダメだ。
beyond hope
口
now.
で言って
The time for
理解や
words
説
and
明が
seeking
求められる段階に
comprehension or an
もう
explanation
ない。
is long past. Nobody answered. Without any kind of discussion or mercy, 6 people had been killed in an instant, and Kinzo had been so boldly proclaimed for them to become sacrifices in a 13-person murder trial. Since they have been locked up in this place, they too would probably become their ritual's next sacrifices before long. Around this time, their eyes were becoming used to the darkness, and bit by bit they were starting to be able to make out the dungeon's interior. What they thought was furniture haphazardly left in the dungeon turned out to be not furniture at all. There were small cages that could be used to imprison a single person, restraining tables, or were those torture racks? At any rate, it was obviously more ghastly than a mere jail cell. Since those objects were rusted and covered in a thick layer of dust, there was no doubt that they had been long forgotten. Maybe you could even have called those things Kinzo's sealed and forgotten madness. However, it was in this room in which they had now been However, it was this room in which they had been locked away now. Those objects weren't exactly comforting to people who were locked up, hoping to be released without harm.
とにかくここを抜け出そう。
Let's get out of here.
私たちは伴侶
We've
や友
lost
人を
loved
失い
ones and friends, and
涙を
we'd
流す
like
こ
to
とに
spend
時間
some
を費
time
やしたい
shedding
が
tears.
今はそれ以上
More
だ
than
よ。
that, I'm
子
worried
供た
about
ち
the
の
children.
皆死ん
お子様方は
祈るしかない。
All we can do is pray.
そういえば
Come to think of it,
熊沢さん
Kumasawa-san
と
and
ゴーダさん
Goda-san
はこ
aren't
こには
here.
いないな。
ひょっとすると
Perhaps they were
無
able
事に
to
逃げ延びられたの
get
かも。
away safely.
かもしれませんが
You never
子
know.
供たちと
It'd be a
合流
relief
し
if
てて
they
く
were
れれば
able to meet up
心
with the
強いのです
children.
が。
ゴーダさんはいざという
Goda-san
時
can
頼
be
りになるし、
relied upon in
熊
a
沢さ
time
ん
of
は経
crisis.
験豊富で
And
落ち着いてる
Kumasawa-san
し、
is knowledgeable and calm.
きっと
I'm sure they
力
will
に
be
なってくれ
helpful
ると
to the
思います。
children. Sì, proprio. Vabbè, allora, knowledgeable va bene, lo posso dire a Kumasawa, soprattutto se parliamo di mackerel. Però calm, insomma, lei si fa un po' prendere dal panico di solito. E lei di solito è quella che fa. Esatto. E God è quello che fa.
そうだといいが
I
な。
hope so. Shannon and Kraus smiled bitterly a little, but they quickly realized how improper that was and stopped, clearing their throats.
楽観はできないよ、姉さん。
Can't be too optimistic, Nessa.
僕らに続いて
There's a chance that they
も
have been
う襲わ
already
れてしま
attacked.
ってる可能性だ
So
って
we
ある。
were.
同感ね。
I
お
agree.
父様が食堂で執行したのは魔女の碑文の第一の
The
番
six
の6人
murders
殺
of
し
the
なんでし
first twilight of the witch's epitaph, right?
ょ。なら第2
Then
の番
the
は
second twilight
寄り
is
添い
to
し2
tear
人を
apart
引き裂き
the two who are close.
逃げ隠れて寄り添って
We
い
can't
る
deny the
ゴーダさん
possibility
と
that
熊
Goda
沢
さ
さ
ん
ん
and
が
Kumasawa-san
もう
may have
殺されてい
already
る可
been
能性だっ
killed,
て否定できない
having
わ。
run away to hide together in close company.
きっとゲストハウスに合流して
We
て
aren't
子供たちを
we
守ってくれ
can't
ているな
claim
んて
to be
楽観。
optimistic idea that they
現時点では
definitely
全
got
く
to
で
the
きない
guest
わ。
house and are protecting the children. Kiria coldly analyzed the worst case scenario. Even for her, it was heartbreaking to have lost her beloved husband. But right now, the most important thing was protecting the husband's son, along with the other children, from becoming sacrifices to this insane family head. She overcame her sadness with the parental urge to protect the children. It seemed that both Kiria and Kraus were strong enough to forget their grief, if only for the time being. They could let their tears flow later. For now, in order to protect the children, they had to act.
とにかくここを脱出し
Anyway,
よ
let's get out of
う。
here.
相当古
It
い
seems
牢
to
屋の
be
よ
a rather old
うな
cell.
んとか鉄格子を
Couldn't
破
we
れない
break
だ
the
ろう
bars somehow?
室内をくまなく探し
Let's
て
try searching the entire
脱出手段
room for
探して
some
み
way
よ
to escape.
ここにはガラクタがいろいろあるわ。
There's all kinds of junk
何か役に
around
立ち
here.
そうな
I
道具
wonder
と
if
か
there's
落ちてない
any
かしら。
tools lying around that we could
武
use.
器になるものがあるか
There
も
may
し
be
れないし、
something that we could use
鉄
as a
格子を
weapon
破れ
or
るものがあ
something
るか
that
も
we
しれ
could
ない。
use to break the bars. Kyrie pulled a lighter from her pocket. She herself didn't smoke, but she kept one tucked away in her pocket to light Rudolph's cigarettes. It was an extremely valuable source of light for searching through this dim dungeon.
シャノンはキリエさんを手伝い
Shannon helped
室内を
Kyrie
探
search
索してく
the
れ
room.
カノンは私と一緒に鉄
You'll
格子の
help me
具合
check
を
out
確
the
かめて
bars.
みようこれだけ古い牢屋
This
だ
is a very old
ひょっ
cell.
とするとガタ
The
が来ている
bars
かも
could
し
be
れない
loose.
私は何をお手伝
What
いし
should
ま
I
しょう
help
か
with?
体力を温存していてくださ
Just
い
keep your
や
strength.
がてここに
Father
親父
will
殿が
probably
現
come
れる
here before long. No,
親父殿に言葉が届くのは南條
you
先
are
生
the
だ
only
けです
one whose words will reach him.
ある意味
In a way, you
南
may
條
be
先生
holding
に
our
我々
lives
の
in
命
your
は握られ
hands.
ているかもしれない
私の
My
言
words
葉
will
など
no longer reach
もう
him.
届きはせんでしょう申し訳ないが
I'm sorry, but
そのお
I
役
don't
には
believe
立
I
てそう
will
に
be
な
of
い
use.
なら
Manina magica
南
di
條先
Nanjo
生
del
の
manga
お医者としての知識
che
を貸して
alza
く
la
ださ
mano
い
per parlare, c'ha la spotlight sulla mano. Then lend us your expertise as a
人間を
doctor.
即座に混
I
沌さ
wonder
せるよ
if
うな
there's a
毒っ
drug
て
that makes
存在
people
するのかし
instantly
ら
faint.
人間を即座に
Drug
混
that
沌さ
makes
せる
people
毒
instantly faint.
どういうことですか
What are you talking about?
私たちは落とし穴に
We
落とされて
believe we fell
こ
through
の
a
地
pit
下牢に
and
落ちてきた
landed
と
in
信
this
じてあ
dungeon.
の混乱している場
The
で
panic-stricken-
私たちはそうだった
in
ろうと
that
信じたわ
panic-stricken place, that's what we believed happened.
でもこの地下牢の広さを
But
測ってみて
looking
分
at
か
how
った
large this room is, I came to a
この
realization.
地下牢が
This
あの
dungeon
食堂の地下と
cannot
い
be
うのは
underneath
あ
the
りえない
dining
ことなのよ
どうしてありえないってわかるんですか
But can you tell that? How can you tell that it can't?
姉さんはバカだな
Nathan.
この地下牢は
This dungeon is too
食堂に
narrow
比べて
compared to the
狭すぎる
dining hall.
その通り
Exactly.
1番目に落と
The
された
first
のは
person to
クラウ
fall
ス兄
was
さん
Faust Nielsen.
2番目が
The
私
second one was
クラウ
myself.
ス兄さんは
When you
この
fell
部屋に
into
落ち
this
てきた
room,
時
did you move
そ
from
の
the
場を
spot?
動いたかしら
Nielsen.
お恥ずかしながら
It's embarrassing to
落
say,
下の
but
痛みでう
I
めい
lay
てい
there
たよ
groaning in pain from the landing.
そのすぐ傍らにキリエ
Immediately
さ
after
んが
that, you came
すぐ
crashing
に
down
落ちて
next
きた
to me.
食堂でのクラウス兄さん
The
と私
distance
の立ち
between
位置
us
と
as we stood in the
落下時の
dining hall
落下
compared
場
to
所の距離が明らかに
where
お
we
かしいのよ
landed is clearly strange.
確かに言われてみれ
Certainly,
ば
when
その
you
通
put
り
it
で
that
す
way.
その次に落ちたのは
I
私だ
was
から
through the
お
next
二人の位
to
置
fall.
関係はよく
I
覚えている
remember fairly well where you two were
食堂
standing.
でのお
The
二人
distance
の間の
between
距
you
離
two
は
in dining hall might have been greater than this entire room.
私たちは落とし穴に落ちてダイレクトにここに落下したわ集合する下
It's
水
not
道
like
管
we
みたい
fell
に
into multiple
一度集められてから
intersecting pipes and
ここに
were
落ちた
all
わけじゃない
collected together before falling down here.
落下は一瞬だったで
The
し
fall
ょ
was instant, wasn't it?
そんな凝った
Don't
排水
remember
管みたい
rolling
な穴を
around in
転がさ
some
れた
sort of
覚えはないわ
elaborate water pipe system. Indeed,
確かに
we can't explain
落と
that
し
to
穴
the
で
pit.
は説明がつかんなおかしな
How
話だ
strange.
それとキリエ
What
様
does that
のおっ
have
し
to
ゃる
do with
人
the
間を即
drug
座
that
に
makes
混
people
沌させる
instantly
毒
faint that
というの
Kirie-sama
は
was talking
どう
about?
関係があるんですか
キリエ様は多分食堂に落とし穴なんかなかった
Kirie-sama is
どう考えなんじ
probably
ゃないかな
thinking that there were no pitfalls in the dining hall, I would guess.
しかし現に私
Did
た
we
ちは
actually
落ちた
fall?
落とし穴に落ちたような
To
気
put
が
it
するが正
accurately,
解
we
よ
had the feeling that we fell into a
無理もないわ
pit. It's only
そう
natural.
としか例えられない
That's
体
the
験だった
only
から
way we could describe such an experience.
なるほど
I see, I
つまり
see. In
こ
other
うおっしゃい
words,
たいわ
this
けで
is
すな
what you're getting at.
私たちは落とし穴に落とされたのではなく例えば
But
毒矢のような
shot,
も
for
ので撃た
example,
れ
it's something like a
瞬時
blow
に意識を失い
lost
その
consciousness
倒れて
instantly,
床に突っ
and
伏す
the
瞬間
instant
の
we
記
fell
憶
into the
をまるで
floor,
落とし穴
it
に落
could
ちた
be
よう
that
と
we just
思い込ん
no,
でしまっている
and
のか
the
もしれ
instant
ない
we fell to the floor, it could be that we just remembered that as though we fell into a pit.
なるほど
I see.
食堂に無数の落と
It's
し
a
穴が
much
仕
more
掛けられていて
persuasive explanation
我々がそれに
than there
何十
being
年も気づかず
numerous
食事をしてい
than
た
there
と
be
するより
numerous pitfall traps in the
よ
dining
ほど
hall
説
that
得
we
力のあ
never
る話だ
noticed. Even after decades eating there.
姉さん時計
Nathan,
はある
do you have a watch?
うん
Yes,
懐中時計があるわよ
I do have a pocket watch.
22時40分くらい
20
ね
to 11.
僕の時計もそうなってる
Yes, my watch says the same.
つまり僕たち
In
は
short, it hasn't been more
食堂
than
での
10
大騒ぎ
minutes
か
since the chaos
十
of
数
the
分の
dining
時間を経過させてないってことになる
私の時計も同様だ。
My watch, likewise.
我々が混沌さ
That's
せられ
much
て
too short of a time to
どこかへ
knock us
担ぎ込まれ
out
たと
and
仮
carry
定
us
するに
somewhere.
時間だけを見るなら
Judging only
やはり
from
我
the
々
time,
は食堂の
it's
真下
reasonable to think that we did fall
落
to
とし
a
穴
hole
で落とされた
directly
と考えるのが
leading
パターン
directly underneath the dining hall.
時計の針なんていくらでもいじれるわ。
Watch hands can easily be tampered
私た
with.
ちが気絶して
When
い
we
る間
passed
に
out, they may
全員の
have
時計を巻き戻したのかもしれない。
wound, ok, wound, non wound. Si scrive nella stessa maniera? Wound. Vabbè, che hanno portato indietro le lancette dell'orologio. They wound everyone's watch.
その可能性がなかった
We
こ
were
とは
incapable
証
of
明不
proving
能
that
よ。
this possibility doesn't exist.
落とし穴にせよ
Whether a
混
pitfall
沌させる
or
毒に
else
せ
a
よ
drug that
私たちは
induces
用心する
painful,
に越したこ
it
とは
does
な
not
いという
change the
わ
fact
けです
that
な
we need to be on our guard.
それで南條先生、
So,
混沌させる毒は
is
存
there
在
a
するん
drug
です
that
か？
can be made to do that?
それはキリエさんの論法と同
It's
じ
the
です
same as your logic, Kiryu-san.
私の知らない
Cannot
未知の
provide
毒
that there is
物
a drug with that
そういう
effect or
効用のものがない
of
と
which
は
I do
証
not
明
know.
用心に越したことはないとい
As
う
they
こと
say,
ね。
you can never be too
ごめん
careful.
なさい。
Sorry, it
無駄な
was
質
a
問だったわ。
pointless question.
ただ、私
For
の仮
example,
説
I
によ
think
り、
that
この
with
地下牢
my
が食堂の真
hypothesis,
下とは
I
限
was
らな
able
い
to
という可能
suggest
性
that
は
this
示唆
dungeon
できた
is
と思う。
not necessarily directly underneath the dining hall.
なるほど
I see.
広大な森の中のどこかに隠され
So
ている
is
と
the
噂さ
possibility
れる
that we were carried out of to a dungeon in father's hidden
親
mansion,
父殿の隠
which
し
is
屋敷の
rumored
地下
to
牢
be
に
the
運び込まれてい
hidden
る可能 性
somewhere in the
も
middle
あ
of
る
the vast
というここを
forest.
脱出して外へ
If
出
we
れば
can
それも
escape
わか
from
る
here and get outside, then we'll know.
それを詮索するの
We
は
can save
ここから
worrying
出てからでもい
about
いだ
that until we got out.
その通りね。本当に
Exactly.
ごめんなさい。
Exactly. I'm truly sorry.
さっきから無駄な質問
I've
と
only
詮
been
索ばかり
asking
だ
and
わ。
inquiring into useless things.
いいや
No,
とても
no,
頼
it's
もしい
quite
よ今後
reassuring.
も何かに気づい
Please
たら教
continue
え
to
てく
tell
れ
us
たま
if you notice anything
こ
else.
こを脱出する何かのヒント
It
にな
might
るかもしれない
become a hint. It might become a hint to escaping from here.
ルドルフからいつも聞かされていた
I always said from
君の
Rudolph.
発想には
He
いつ
was
も
always
驚かされる
surprised, but
時には重要なヒントになる
by your ideas, and they would sometimes serve as valuable hints.
君がここにいてくれた
The
のは
fact that you're here is a
不幸中の
blessing
幸い
in
だ
tragedy.
ありがとう。
Thank you.
私もルドルフさんに
Rudolph
聞いてる
Sam
わ。
told me something about you as
クラ
well.
ウス兄さんは普段は威張ってい
You
るけれ
usually
ど、
act big, but
いざ
when
という
things
時は
get
責任
serious,
感に
you
あふれる
overflow with a sense
頼り
of
がいのある兄だ
responsibility
って。
and a very dependable older brother. Oh,
さすがにそれは世辞が
nice.
過ぎるね
Damn
クソ
it. This iron
それにして
bar
も
won't
頑丈
do
な
on
鉄の下
bar.
カノンの方はどうかね
How are things on your end, Canon? Ma Canon, non puoi fare la spada laser.
いえ
No luck here either, I'm afraid. Kraus and Canon tried wiggling each other, each of the bars, tried wiggling each of the bars in various ways. There were a few bars that could be twisted, and a few that felt like they had enough room to rattle around a little bit, but even so, they could not be broken with a human strength alone. However, there still was hope if they could use some kind of lever-like tool. It was still far too early to give up yet. The children's lives were hanging in the balance. Even if there was no hope, they couldn't stop their struggle. And it was better even for them to act this way. If they were to stop, there was no doubt they would once again be overcome with the grief of losing their loved ones and crouch down, clutching their knees. How are you doing, Kiryu-san?
何か見つかったかね
Found anything?
握って隠せる程度の
I
石ころ
found
は見
some
つかるわ。
small stones enough to hide in a clenched
こんなもの
fist.
でも
Even
武器にはなる
this
かも。
might work as a weapon.
さすがに
Though
鉄格子を
I'm
削
sure
り取
it'd
る
be
ことは無理で
impossible
しょ
to
うね。
whittle down those iron bars.
シャノンちゃんはどう？
How about you, Sanon-chan?
いいえ、何も。
No, nothing.
これ
This is
電話です。
a phone.
つながってるわけもないわ。
There's no way it's connected.
でも
But
コードは何かを
you
縛っ
might
た
be
り
able to
武
use
器に
the
も使え
cord
るか
for
も。
tying something up, for tying something up, or as some sort of
壊して
weapon.
分解すれば
If we break it
金属
and
部
take
品
it
を取り出
apart,
せるわ。
we could take out the metal
クラス兄さん、
Because Nissan
鉄
is
格子を
there
開
a
ける
keyhole
鍵穴は
for opening
もちろんあるわ
inside,
よね。
right?
ああ
Yeah.
だいぶ鍵穴の大
It's
き
a
い
pretty
大
large
時代的な
hole,
ものだ
quite
ね。
old-fashioned.
針金のようなものでいじ
If
れば
we twist some
騙
wire
せる
into
かも
it,
しれない
we
な。
might be able to pick it.
電話の金属部
We
品
might
で
be able to use
何
the
か代
metal
用でき
parts
る
of
か
the
もしれ
phone
ない。
as a substitute for
その
something.
電話、武
This
器になるわ
phone
ね。
will become our weapon.
投資と同じだよ。
It's the same as
情
investing.
報は武器だ。
Information is our weapon. No, ti prego, Kraus, non parlarmi di NFT. Kraus and Kyrie laughed together at this way of putting the phone to use, which didn't remotely look at it as a means of communication.
何やってんのお姉さん。
What are you doing, Nathan?
その
Just wonder if
電話
maybe the
つながってるか
phone
なっ
was
て思
working.
って。
バカだな姉さんは。
You dummy, Nathan.
あれ
What? Suddenly, Shannon let out a small surprise cry.
綺麗様
Kyrie-sama,
この電話つながってます。
phone is connected.
なんですって？
What did you say? It was like when people move out of an office, taking everything with them, leaving only the telephone behind. That's the feeling the phone gave off, having been left in the corner of the cell. The cord was wound into a coil, and at the end of it, being swallowed up by the wall, at a glance it looked like it could possibly be connected. But to think that it actually was. Kyrie took the receiver from Shannon and pressed it against her ear. The electric hum was certainly the one with which she was familiar. This phone was indeed live.
なんという幸運。警察へ連絡しましょう。
Contact the police.
待ちたまえ。
Hold on.
話がうますぎる。
This is too good to be
盗
true.
聴されているんじゃない
Should
の
we
か。
not suspect that it's bugged?
そんな細工するくらいなら
Planning a
普
trick
通は
like
電
that,
話線を
normally
切
they
断
would
するわ。
cut the telephone line.
連中が本気で見落と
There's
し
a
た
good
可能性が
possibility
高い。
they actually overlooked this.
気づかれたら今度こそ電話線を切断されるかもしれないわ。警察への通報を盗聴されて何も
Tell
困
the
ること
police
はな
that
いの
would
だ
be
し。
problematic for us if they overheard. That did make sense. The point of a wiretap was to overhear some important piece of information, but the way things were now, they could not think of a single thing that would come up in a conversation to the outside world that could be troublesome to have heard. Kyrie instantly concluded that it was more likely to be a mistake on Kinzo's part than a trap.
確かに一理あります。
You do have a point.
回線は確
I
か
believe that
0番から
you
だ。
start with zero to make calls to the outside.
カノン君、
Kanon-kun,
私は電
want
話
to
す
make
る
a
から
phone call.
あなたは外の様子を
Watch how
伺ってくれ
things
る。
are out. So you will watch how things are out there
誰か
for
が
me.
近づいてくる気配があったら
Well,
知らせ
send
て。
somebody coming. Let me know.
はい。
Yes. Cannon raced off towards the iron bar, silenced his breathing and strained his ears. As everyone present watched Kyrie dialed 110, che è la polizia in Giappone, immagino. However, she pushed the hook down repeatedly and redialed. Didn't seem to be working very well.
外線は
The
0番か
outside line began with
ら。
zero.
110番は0110じゃないの？
110 would be 0110 then.
うまくかからない。
Doesn't seem to want to go through.
貸したまえ。
Can we
私が
call?
かけ
I'll
る。
try to call. Kraus took the receiver in Kirie's place and tested various things. But in the end, they were unable to notify the police. The phone itself was definitely live, but the circuit was apparently cut somewhere. Did this mean that they were not so naive?
やっぱり無理ですか。
So it is useless after all.
敵も甘くはないってことね。
So our enemy is no pushover. Kyrie let out a deep sigh, leaned against the wall and hung her head for a while. As though, as tough a girl as she was, for a brief moment she might actually have been have had the naive hope that the phone could actually work. She sneered at herself mockingly for holding on to that naive hope for even one moment. And then she thought back upon just what had happened here. Honestly, despite having been shown such a thing right before her eyes, or rather, exactly because of that, she could still not think of the gruesome mass murder as something real. It was less than she couldn't believe it, and more that she didn't want to. Ushiromi Akinzo had killed 6 members of the family. He had summoned strange, witch-like, demon-like people right out of thin air, and with something like magic, he had begun to kill people one after another. Too much to handle. Even though she definitely saw it, there was no way she could accept that spectacle.
そんなことあるわけがない。
No way that
あれはきっと
that's what happened.
お父様の友人か何
Those
か。
were obviously grandfather's friends or something.
それが
They
あ
were
らかじ
just
め食
hiding
堂のどこか
somewhere
に
in
隠
the
れてい
dining
て
hall beforehand and
手
used
品
some
的に
tricks
突
to
然
appear
姿を現し
suddenly
て
and surprise
私た
us.
ちを驚かせただけなんだわ。
Kiria, stai facendo lo stesso errore di Butler quando stava cercando di spiegare il combattimento tra Beatrice e Virgilia in episodio 3. Vabbè, che però lei è diverso, aspetta, perché Butler lo sta vedendo da fuori e quella era la versione della strega. In questo caso, come la conciliamo questa cosa? Come la gestiamo questa cosa? Se lei effettivamente ha visto queste cose, come la mettiamo? Che è diverso. Butler vede quelle cose ma perché è la strega che gliele mostra. In questo caso non è Butler pedina che ha visto queste cose, è Butler giocatore. E quindi se Kiri è pedina, ha visto queste cose, come la interpretiamo? Non c'è nulla in rosso che implica che lei abbia visto tali cose, però ok, però lei non può parlare in rosso. Da quello che stiamo vedendo adesso, lei sembra che stia facendo riferimento ai fatti che sono successi, quindi lo dobbiamo prendere come sono effettivamente successi ed è stato un light show particolare, nel senso che c'erano della gente vestita come loro che è venuta fuori, però in questo caso non usciamo più, perché se... cioè, è palesemente magia in questo caso. Dobbiamo arrenderci, dobbiamo dire che ha vinto la strega perché Kiri ha visto queste cose. Adesso io non voglio perdere troppo tempo qui. Però, per chi è in blind, senza darvi una risposta, vi dico solo, ripensate alle occasioni in cui la gente ha visto cose magiche accadere. Ok? Come in questo caso, come con Kyrie. Non dico dove voglio andare a parare, non dico su cosa dovete focalizzarvi, dico solo ripensate un pochino alle scene in passato dove qualcuno ha visto qualcosa di magico accadere. Dico solo questo e andiamo avanti.
そう考えなくちゃあのめちゃくちゃを
There's
説明
no
できない。
way to explain something as screwed up as that. Mi piace che parli un pochino anche come Butler. But those 6 had their heads blown apart. A golden arrow had flown around the room. That truly looked like magic. Was there another thing we just saw? Was that another thing that we just saw wrong? There's no way it was magic. There must be some kind of trick to it. Since it was capable of smashing heads, there's no doubt it was some kind of explosive. For example, a styrene toy plane like they sell at candy stores, painted gold and with a powerful explosive loaded onto the end of it. Abbiamo capito da dove prendere le teorie pazze, Butler. That said, ah no, ma aspetta, ma non è sua madre, e non niente allora. Vabbè, e comunque l'ha cresciuto, non è sua madre, diciamo, in maniera biologica, però come per il suo modo del chessboard, del flipping the chessboard, qualcosa che ha imparato. Allora, un un po' quello che dicevo l'ultima volta, solo che loro vedono cose magiche. Nel mondo dopo con Ange nessuno tranne lei vede o sente qualcosa. Questa è la prima volta che in cui tante persone che non siano immobili, che credono nella magia, vedono qualcosa di magico accadere. È vero. Beh, oddio. Kind of. Fammi ripensare a tutte le volte in cui è successo qualcosa di magico. Pensate per esempio al duello tra Kyrie e Rudolph contro chi è che erano? Leviathan e chi è che aveva combattuto Rudolph? Vabbè, le due sorelle del Purgatorio e poi le Siesta Sisters con Eva Beatrice. Vabbè, non voglio puntarvi troppo in una direzione, non voglio influenzarvi, quindi ripensate solo a questo, ma proprio come consiglio generale. That said, at a glance he had seemed to be flying at random. Kyrie couldn't imagine that such a thing could be fired 6 times and each time perfectly hit the victim square in the head, one after the other. Surely its flight wasn't computer controlled to seek out and deliver precise hits on its targets, which would make it a high-tech styling plane on the same level as a guided missile.
そんなバカバカしい仕掛けを
Would
膨
he
大な
invest
資費を
such
投
a
じ
large
て作
amount
らせ
of
たと
money into developing such stupid tricks
あ
like
の
that?
おかしな余興の
For
ために
that insane entertainment?
お父様ならやりかねないって
Does this come back to the old I wouldn't put it past father? A number of mysterious people had appeared suddenly out of thin air. 6 people had their heads demolished by a mysterious golden flying object. And the 5 of us were locked away in a mysterious dungeon by a mysterious set of pitfalls, or else put to sleep by some fainting poison dart. The family conference started a bit after 10 p.m. It's only been 30 minutes since then. Probably. Those events which took place in such a short amount of time, none of us would be able to understand nor come to grips with, even though we witnessed them ourselves. Even if we did get a hold of the police, it would probably be impossible for any of us to accurately explain what we saw. I may only have just witnessed it, but my brain fried and I have no confidence even in what I myself saw. Kyrie had to try her hardest to rouse herself from her overwhelming confusion just to hold on to her sanity.
くそ、どうなってるんだ。
Going here.
くそ、くそ。
Damn it! Kraus started to become desperate, hitting the hook multiple times and redialing over and over. He too was feigning composure but was unable to hide his panic. The more he redialed, the more the pretense of serenity peeled away. None of this makes any sense. Kyrie couldn't help but pray that the events that had just occurred were no more than a dream. Suddenly, the look on Kraus' face changed. Oh!
呼び出してる。
I got
呼
through.
び出してるぞ。
Got through.
コロンがする。
It's ringing.
本当ですか、クラウスさん。
Son.
なるほどな。
I
親
see.
父め、
That
浅
old,
はか
that
な。
old man was so psychic.
警察に連絡
It
されまい
seemed
と
that
外部
he
への
cut
電
the
話線は
external
切断した
line
ら
in
しい
an
が、
effort to prevent us from
内
contacting
線
the
は切断し
police.
損ねている。
He missed on out on severing the internal line.
内戦
Internal
クラウスさんはどこにかけているの
Did you call
ゲストハウスだ。
the guest
ジェ
house?
シカたちの部屋の内
I'm
線番号
calling the
にか
room
けてい
where
る。
Jessica and the rest are staying.
もしもし。
Hello.
もしもし。
Hello.
私だ。
It's me.
お前は誰か。
Who is this?
ゴーダか。
Koda?
ジェシカはいるか。
Is Jessica
Which
there? Is she safe?
旦那様
Kraus-sama,
ご無事でよかっ
I'm
た
so glad you're safe.
ジェ
Yes.
シカお嬢様たちも
Lady
皆さん
Jessica
ご
and
無
the
事で
other
す
children are here as well. Safe and unharmed.
父さん
Dad, is that you, Dad?
無事でよかった
So glad you're
母さんは
okay.
無事なの
Is mom okay?
そこにいるの
Is she there? Kraus choked on his words. Kraus had clearly seen Natsui's head crushed and had seen her killed right before her eyes. Eventually, he was going to have to tell that to Jessica. However, Kraus began to fret over whether he should tell her this very and lost his words. But even that was an answer under these circumstances.
母さんはわからない。
Didn't know
無事を祈ろう。
Let's pray she's safe.
今はお前だけで
For
も
now,
無事
I'm
でよ
going
かった。
to. I'm just glad you are safe. understand. Sorry for asking. Jessica's voice was filled with tears. There was no doubt for Kraus anymore. Jessica and the other had been told everything, start to finish, by Goda and Kumasawa when they had met up at the guest house. After they learned that 6 whole people had been killed, Jessica and the others must have been in a frenzy about wanting to go to the dining hall. Luckily, they had been able to call before they stormed off towards the mansion. Kraus was relieved at his good timing during such a
ここに
tragedy.
は今キリエさんと
We
ナン
have
チョ先生
Kiryu-san and Dr. Nanjo,
それに
as well as
シャノンと
Shannon
カノン
and Canon here.
地下牢のようなとこ
We
ろ
are
に閉
locked
じ
in
込
a
められて
place
いるの
that's like a
心配
dungeon,
する
but
な
don't
こっ
worry.
ちは父さん
We
た
have
ちで何
figured
とかす
something
る
out. Dungeon? Where? I'll come save you.
あいにく
Unfortunately, we haven't the slightest idea where this is either.
食堂の真
We
下だと
think
思
it
う
might be under the dining
そうで
hall.
ないかもしれないとにかくジェシカ
Anyway, Jessica,
そこを出てはならん
let's not
ゴ
leave
ーダたち
there.
から経緯は聞
You
いている
heard
か
from Goda what happened. Father, everyone.
おじい様は今 正常
Grandfather
な
is
状
in
態
the
に
same
なる
state of mind right
出く
now.
わせば危
If
険
you
だ
ran into him, you'll be in danger.
殺されるかもしれな
Be
い
killed.
私たちを助
You
けに来よ
mustn't
うなど
even
と
think about trying
絶
to
対に
come
思
and
っては
save
こっ
us.
ちはこっちで何
We'll
とか
take
する
care of ourselves. Tell me, what should we do? Grandfather, you piece of shit. How dare you do that to Mom and the rest? To kill that worst-bold bastard.
ジェシカそんな言葉を使ったら母さんが悲しいぞ
Jessica, if you talk like that, you'll sadden your mom.
レディーはそんな
Lady
言葉を使
doesn't
う
use
もんじゃ
those
ない
kinds of words. Povera Jessica, mi fai piangere Jessica.
お前たちは
Non
身の
per
安全
colpa
を最
tua
優先
però.
にしろ
Anyway, you all put your own safety first.
ゲストハウスを戸締まり
Lock
す
up
る
the
ん
guest
だ
house.
しかし過信はでき
You
ない
mustn't get
1
complacent.
階のラウンジの
The
大窓は
large
破られ
window
るか
and
もし
the
れない
downstairs lounge might be
そ
broken.
の部屋にとどまり
Might get broken.
ベッドを立て
Stay
か
in
け
the
てバ
room
リケ
you're
ード
in
にす
and
る
use the bed to make a
その
barricade.
部屋にはトイレ
There's a
冷
toilet
蔵
and a fridge in there too,
明日
right?
の朝までは廊
Should
上
be
でき
able
る
to
はずだ
stay hold up until tomorrow
いいな
morning. Alright.
くれぐれも物騒なことは考
Don't
え
think
る
of
な
anything
母
dangerous.
さんの仇を
And
取ろうなんて
definitely don't
絶
think
対に
about
考えるん
trying
じゃないぞ
to go take revenge for mom.
相手を刺激せず
Think only of hiding and
隠れてや
making
り
it
過ごす
through
ことだ
this.
けを考える
Don't
んだ
provoke the enemy.
分かったよ父さん
After that, Goda took the phone and was told again to watch over the children as a responsible adult. Goda repeatedly replied, "Yes, sir," in an overstrained voice, his face covered in cold sweat. From there, Kyrie received the phone and spoke with Butler, and when Shannon and Canon got their turn, George and Jessica answered. And following that, Nanjo and Kumasawa picked up as well, so all the members of both sides had their turn on the phone, each encouraging the other and confirming that they were at least safe for now, even if their location was unknown, and coming to a complete understanding of the current situation for both sides. They wanted to talk forever, but now was not the time to chat. Kraus told them they would be hanging up for now, and those in the guest
ま
house
た
had
何
been.
かあったら連絡する
If anything else happens, we'll
す
call.
ぐに受話器を取れるよう
Wait
に
by
待
the
機して
phone
い
so
て
you
くれ
can pick up
く
quickly.
れぐれも用
Again,
心してな
be careful.
無茶なこと
You
は絶
mustn't do
対にす
anything
るんじ
rash.
ゃ
Yeah, understand.
どうさんや
Just knowing that you and
カノン君たちが無事だ
rest
と
are
して
safe.
もう
So we need
私
my
たちも
book. We'll do our
父
best.
さんたちも
Please stay safe.
も
Yes,
ちろん
of
だ
course.
それでは一度気を
Well then, I'm hanging out for
用
now.
心しろ
Be on your guard. With that, the phone call ended. God and the rest of the men quickly descended the stairs, closed the shutter, and secured the strong locks on the doors. However, just as Kraus had worried, there was nothing they could be done about the beautiful wide window in the downstairs lounge. If this were to be broken, it would be easy for them to get inside. It wouldn't be hard for someone like Kinzo, who hadn't hesitated at committing murder, to invade the first floor.
おじい様たちは武
It's
装してい
likely
る可能性が
grandfather
高
and
い
his followers will be
部
armed.
屋に閉じこもるのが
Locking ourselves in
最
this
善かつ
room is our best
唯一の
bet.
籠城方
Moreover,
法になるね
our only method of staying locked
自
down.
ら密室に閉じこもらざるを得ないのは苦しいところだけど
Stop ourselves in our
相手が
locked
銃を
room,
持っていたら
but if our enemies
それしか
are
方
carrying
法がない
guns, then that's the only method we have left to us.
親方様は
The master
実
said
銃
to
の
have
コ
a
レクショ
collection
ン
of
を持つと
working
の話
guns.
ですそう
That's That's right.
あれは銃だ。
There was a
銃
gun.
だとしたら
So,
恐ろしい威力の銃
horribly
だ。
powerful gun.
とても
We
太
can't
刀打ちは
contend
で
with
きま
that
せ
at
ん。
all.
頭を砕くなんて
Smashing
す
someone's
げえ威
head.
力だぜ。
That takes a hell of a lot of force.
マグナ
right?
ム弾とかそういう
Might be a
類のやつかも
Magnum
な。
bullet or something along those
下手な
lines.
扉なら
That might go
平気で
through a
貫通する
flimsy
かもし
door
れねえ
like
な。
it's nothing.
だとすれば
If so,
ますますに
then that's
部屋
even
に
more
籠
the
城する
reason
べき
to
だね。
barricade ourselves in the
ベッドを
room.
立てかけて
Let's put a
窓
bed
も
and
塞ごう。
block the window too.
そこまですれば
If we
いく
don't
ら
do
銃を
that
持っていても
much, then
踏み込むことは
if
でき
we
ないは
do
ず。
that much, then it doesn't matter how many guns they've got. They shouldn't be able to break
く
in.
そ、
Shit.
そんな受け身な防戦一
Is
方しか
this
ねえのか
passive
よ。
one-sided defense all we can do?
くっしょ
God damn him.
うち
Knocking
の
off
親
my
父に
dad
上
and
等を
even
決めてくれて
capturing Kirius.
こいつは高く
You're
つく
gonna
ぞ。
pay for this, you
く
old
そ
goat.
じじいめ。
無理です。あんな連中に太刀打ちできるわけがありませ
No
ん。
way we can go against them.
しかも親方
Besides,
様だ
it's
けで
not
な
like
く、
it's
手下も
not
何
just
人
the
も。
master. He has several underlings too.
あるいはあんな連中がもっといるかも。あいつらは一
Just
体。
what are they? Butler was filled to the brim with the urge to get revenge on Rudolph and to rush out of here to save Kyrie. But just by looking at how terrified Goda was, there was no doubt in him that that would be reckless.
兄貴だって。
Gotta be hard on you too, right, Aniki?
なのにここで籠
And
城
yet,
なんて。
you gotta stay all up in here.
くしょ。
もちろんさ。僕だって悔しいよ。
Of course, I'm torn up about it too.
両親を殺されて
No way I could remain
冷
calm
静で
with
いら
both
れる
of
わ
my
けがない
parents murdered.
でもだからこそ
Specifically
冷静に
because
ならなくちゃいけない
I have to remain calm.
僕たちが
Do you think
無駄
that
に
our
命を落とすような
murdered
ことを
parents would want us
殺
to
され
die in
思うわけ
vain?
がない
There's no way.
せめて子供だけは
They'd want
逃げ延びて
for
ほ
at
しいと
least
願っ
the
てるはず
children
だ
to escape.
だから僕は
That's why I'm
生
going
き
to
残るよ
survive.
そして警察に
And I
通
will
報し
report this to the police
全てを
and
暴く
cover everything.
仇は
The
法
court
廷
will
が取る
avenge my parents.
それが僕の復讐
That
だ
will be my
差
revenge.
し違えてでも
There's
仇を
no
取って
way
ほ
our
しいなんて
parents would want us to die
親たちが
taking
望んでいる
revenge
わけ
for
も
them,
ないそうだろ
right?
そうだ。兄貴の言う通りだぜ。
You're damn right.
くしょ、く
You're
そじじい
goddamn
め。
right. That
何
old
か儀
bastard.
式だ。
You're stupid.
俺たちがその
Chico.
ための生
If
贄
you're
だって言
saying
うな
that
ら
we're going to be
意地でも
sacrifices
握
for
って
that,
そ
then
の
we
儀
run
式
away just to
台無しに
spite
して
you
やるぜ。
and fuck up the whole goddamn thing.
それでいいよ
That's the
それに
Besides,
バトラ君にはまだ
we
キリエ
still
さんが
have
いる
Kiriya-san, but
僕にだって
I
シャ
still
ノン
have
がいる
Shannon.
とにかく慎重に行動してチャンスを待とう
cautiously and wait for a chance.
僕たちの不用意な行動は
Carelessness
囚
on
われ
our
の彼ら
part
に
might even
不利益を
work
与える
against
可能性だってあるんだ
those
から
who
人質。
hostages.
でも、
My
じいさんはきっと
grandfather captured them
キ
so
リエ
they
さんたち
could
を
use
生贄
them
に
as
するために捕らえたわ。
sacrifices,
俺
right?
たちが助けなきゃ。
We don't go and
殺
save
される
them.
のを待つだけじゃないのか。
They're just waiting to be killed, aren't they?
彼らが捕らえられている地下
We
牢
don't
が
even
どこ
know
にある
what
か
the
もわからない
dungeons they're being held in
シ
is.
ャノンもカノン君も
Neither the Shannon
も
or
ちろん
Canon.
ゴーダさんも
Of course.
熊沢さんも知らなかっ
Goda-san
た
or Kumasawa-san.
おじい様だけしか知らない
They
秘密
probably
の場所
did
に
that
ある
in a
可能性
secret
が極め
location
て
that
高い
only grandfather knows of is incredibly
そんな
high.
状況下でうろう
Under
ろと
these
歩き回るのは自
circumstances,
殺行為だよ
aimlessly wandering about is suicide.
わかってるよ。それでも、
But still, god damn it. Are you saying the only
俺た
thing
ち
we
は
can
ここで
do
何かが起こるまで引きこもってるしかねえってのかよ。
here until something happens?
バトラ様のお気持ちはわかりますが、
I understand your feelings, but
安全第一で参りま
let's
しょう。
put safety first.
旦那様の話では
From what
相
Klaus
当
Sama
古い
said,
牢
they
屋らしい
seem
の
to
で
be in a fairly old
なんとか
cell. and they
鉄格
may
子を
be
破れ
able
るか
to
もし
break
れ
the
ないとの
bars
ことでした。
somehow.
今は
The wise
信じて
choice
待つ方が
of
賢明です
action now is to believe in them and wait.
おじい様の手下が何人もいて
Grandfather has a
みん
number
な
of
武装しているん
subordinates
だよ
and
ね
they're all armed, correct? Yes,
そうです。
it is correct.
そして多分みんな武装を
Yes, armed. God had been able to say that Kinzo had others on his side, but he had not been able to mention that they are mostly all young women like witches and committed their murders using strange magic. If he had said that, he would only have caused the others to doubt his sanity. No, in fact, he himself still couldn't understand what he had seen and was doubting his own sanity. But regardless of sex and appearance, regardless of whether it was done with magic or a gun, the fact that those girls had followed Kinzo's orders and killed 6 people in an instant instant was an unshakable truth. If those people came to attack the guest house as well, what could happen? Just closing the doors and windows like this was surely meaningless. Goda, as well as Kumasawa, the only things left for those two who had witnessed that massacre in the dining hall was to cradle their heads, not even knowing how to interpret what they had seen.
Kumasawa-san, 大丈夫?
Kumasawa-san, you
お茶
okay?
飲む?
You want some tea?
ありがとうございますね。
Thank you very much.
ありがとうございます。
Thank you.
申し訳ございませんが、
But may I
し
be
ばら
left
くそっ
with my
としていただけますか。
thoughts for a little while? Maria tried to be nice, but it seems that Kumasawa still wasn't able to clear away her confusion.
マリア、
Maria,
気を使ってくれてありがとうです。熊沢さんは休ませてやって
let's
くれ。
let Kumasawa-san rest for now. Jessica too showed consideration for Kumasawa, certain of the shock she must have received after witnessing such a tragedy, but her imagination couldn't even come close to the impossible scene Kumasawa had witnessed. Nevertheless, with her mother having been killed and her father having been captured, there was no way that Jessica could stay calm either. She sealed her anxiety and sadness using her anger towards Kinzo and walked irritatedly around the room. Questo mi ha ricordato una cosa però.
熊沢さん。
Sono contati i morti adesso? No. Si vede che fino a che non vedono i cadaveri non li contano morti. Come so?
母さんは
Is mom
本当
really
に
dead?
ええ、あんなひどい死に方を
Never seen
私は
such a horrible way
見
to
たこと
die.
がありませんとも。
ひょっとするとまだ生きてて
It's not possible that she's still alive.
助
Then
かるなんて
with
ことは
treatment we could save her. Is it?
頭があんなことになって生
such a
きて
thing
いら
that
れる
happened
わ
to
け
her
が。
head, it's unimaginable that she could still be alive.
そりゃそうだぜ。
Yeah.
頭が砕けち
Her
まった
head
ら手
gets
当て
smashed.
なんて
There's
必要
normally
ねえ
no
よ
need
な。
for treatment, is there?
普通
When God had come flying into the guest house, overcome with agitation, he told about the massacre in the dining hall without concealing anything, except for the part about the witches and magic, which they themselves still could not believe. In other words, they haven't even sugar-coated the cold-blooded way in which Natsui and the others had died. It was too late now, but Kumasawa regretted having obviously said too much. However, while lightly shaking her head and with a slightly painful laugh, Jessica spoke.
いや
No,
む
if
しろ
anything,
話して
I
くれ
was
たおか
able
げ
to
で冷
stay
静になれた
level-headed
ぜ。
thanks to what you told us.
頭を砕かれちまっ
If
た
you
って
had
ところ
avoided
を伏せられ
mentioning
てた
that part
ら
about her head being smashed,
私はひょっとすると生きて
maybe
るかもしれないって言って
I'd have said that she could still be
屋敷へ向
alive
かいじいさま
and
に手
ran
かわ
off
して
towards the mansion
ひょっと
straight
する
to
と殺されてた
grandfather's
かも
and
しれない
might have been killed.
一末の希望が
There's a
命取り
chance
にな
that
った
the
可能
sliver
性だ
of
ってあ
hope
るわけ
would
さ
have been fatal. With
そ
that
の意
in
味では
mind, I am grateful.
本当に申し訳ございません。言葉をあまりに選ばなかったことはお詫びします。
今はいいよ
Don't worry about it
母
now.
さんはもうどう
There's
しよう
nothing
も
we
ない
can
け
do
ど
about mom now.
父
Dad
さ
is
んは
still
まだ
alive.
生きてるカノン君もシャノン
Kankun
も
and Shannon and
キリエ
Auntie
おば
Kiri
さん
and
も南條先生もね
Dr. Nanjo too.
なんとか彼らを助けたい
To
し
save them
彼ら
somehow,
に負担をかけないために
shouldn't
も
do anything
余計
unnecessary
なことを
that
す
might
る
be a
べきでは
burden
ない
to them. A proposito di prossimi sacrifici, secondo voi chi saranno i prossimi due, no? Tear apart those who are close. I prossimi due che sono vicini, chi che potrebbero essere?
電話の前で待機してることが
The most
今は
helpful
一番の
thing
協
we
力になるか
can
も
do
しれ
right
ないし
now might be to wait by the phone. There could be a phone call asking them to create a diversion to facilitate their escape. Or perhaps the others might learn their location and call for rescue. Jessica understood that in order to act promptly when the time came, the only thing they could do for the time being was to wait in this room. George, Butler, and Goda returned, having finished checking all of the locks downstairs. Each of the three was holding a bunch of different objects. George had things like drinks, canned food, crackers, and other types of snacks that he had found in a lounge and pantry, as well as a first aid kit. All consumables that would be indispensable while they were locked down. Goda had a large folding ladder and carpentry tools. Those were so that in case of emergency they could nail over the door from the inside to seal it. If it came to that, the ladder was the escaping out of the window. E Butler cosa ha preso? Butler had brought up objects which could be used as weapons, such as blades and poles. Minchia, dove li ha trovati? Beh, coltelli, immagino. Oh! The kitchen knives went without saying. The disassembled table legs could be used as clubs. The pole, roughly of the size of a person, which had been made by taking apart a hat stand, could surely be used as a spear, even though it had no point. There was a good possibility that the enemies were carrying guns, so it was dubious whether they would be of any use. But it was still better than not having them, and if those things could provide at least a little peace of mind, then they could also expect some kind of calming effect from them. Then they placed beds and sofas from around the room up against the door, barricading it. They didn't go so far as to seal it up with nails. There was still the chance that Kraus and the others could escape and come to meet up. They had apparently set up a barricade at the top of the stairs as well. It had been designed to create a racket, so it would work in place of a warning alarm as well. It was apparently Butler's idea. For that reason, they turned off the TV, so that if the first floor window were to be broken, they wouldn't know by the sound. Once the switch had been turned off, all there was left was an eerie silence. The sound of the violent wind and rain. Were they going to have to spend the whole night in such crushing suspense? The boat was meant to be coming tomorrow morning. However, judging by the weather report, the typhoon was expected to continue all day tomorrow, and the boat probably wouldn't come. The typhoon would pass in the morning of the day after tomorrow. In other words, the boat would be coming in the morning of the day after tomorrow, as in the morning of October 6th. And right now, it was late night, October 4th. They would have to spend more than 30 hours on this island, with Kinzo turned cold-blooded murderer and his weird companions prowling about. Ciao, seconda. Even with the shutters closed, there would definitely be a little bit of light seeping about. It might let the enemy know that they were hiding here. Butler suggested that it might be best to turn off the lights, but they had already been taken over by such a ghastly feeling just from turning off the TV. There wasn't anyone who directly challenged this proposal, but then again, there wasn't a single other person who agreed with it. Phew.
Oh, テレビダメなの?
It was TV. Yeah, sorry, but you have to bear with it.
敵の侵入の音を聞き
Can't
逃す
afford
わ
to
けに
miss the sound of the enemy bar breaking in.
つまんない。
Boring. Even though she had been told that her mother had died, Maria alone somehow didn't seem to feel an approaching sense of danger. It seemed she was quite displeased with having the TV turned off. Even with this bizarre situation in front of her, she can't share her sense of danger, because she's so young. To battle her right now, seeing that young girl act in a way that was even slightly out of place, made him feel that there was something very eerie about Maria. Ok, torniamo giù nelle prigioni.
とは言ったものの
All that said,
晩作尽きたわ
there's
ね
nothing more to
鉄格子は
try.
なん
Do
と
you
かな
think
りそ
we'll
う
be able to do anything about the bars?
残念だが想像
Unfortunately,
以上
they're
に
tougher
剣
than I
能は
imagined.
いつ頃に作
I
られた
don't
も
know
のか知らんが
when these were
耐用
made,
年数
but
も文句
their
なし
durability is certainly up to the snuff.
実に有料な
Up to
物
snuff.
件だよ
They are truly made rather well. Kiria chuckled softly. They had no moves they could make, but the mood had calmed just a little.
さながらここは
Places
取られ
like
た
where
駒
you
を
put
置
chess
く
pieces
駒
once
置き
you've
場ですな。
captured them. Questa è un'analogia molto particolare, signor dottore Terumasa Nanju.
打つ手はもはやありませんか。
There's nothing left we can do then. Cioè, sembra una cosa tipo wink wink, nudge nudge, rottura della quarta parete. Solo che come quarta parete non si intende che loro parlano a noi, ma loro parlano ai giocatori del gioco, Butler e Beatrice. Quindi dovrebbe esserci una quinta parete poi, se dovesse parlare con noi.
Maだよ
Not so
諦める
fast.
には早いわ
Still too early to
思
give
考
in.
の停止は鼓動の停
Stop
止に同じ
thinking,
よ
we might as well stop reading, right?
だが
Exactly.
チェスの駒置き場に意
Chess
味はない
pieces
が
taking a sign may
将
have
棋な
no
らば大きな意味
purpose,
を持つこ
but
とも
there's
あ
a
る。
great purpose but there's a great purpose for them in shogi.
駒置き場の一枚の歩が
Just one
相手に
captured
プレッシャー
pawn
を
should
与え
be
ること
able
だ
to
って
put
ある
pressure
はず
on
だ。
the opponent.
なるほど。
Oh,
しかし
see, but
こ
still,
の鉄格
there's
子は
nothing that
ど
can
う
be
しよ
done
う
about
も。
these bars.
私たちにはね
For us,
でも
maybe.
ここの場所を
But
特定
if we
し
can pinpoint
ゴーダさん
where
に連絡
this
すること
is
が
and
できれば
contact Goda-san,
助けに来てもらう
we
こ
might
と
be
は
able
で
to
きる
get
かも
him to come and save
なる
us.
ほど。
Hmm,
しかし
see,
ゴーダさんに
but that
危
would
険
mean
を強いること
forcing
になり
danger
ま
on
すな。
Goda-san.
その場合、
would
成人
also
男
be
性が
worried.
不在になる
Yeah, she
ゲスト
doesn't
ハウスの
understand.
お子さんたちも不安です。
Without a fully grown adult male.
リスクを恐れるなら
If
事
you
態
are
が
risk
好転するまで
averse,
塩
biding
漬け
your
にする
time
のも
until the
悪く
situation
ない。
improves again is not a bad idea.
もっとも
However,
損
if
切り
you
を恐
don't
れれば
know when
紙
to
切れ
cut your
同然にな
losses,
るかも
what you
しれ
have
ない
might become worthless scraps of paper.
我々の命
And
が
what
だ
we
が
have here is our lives.
親の子犬もね
Our dignity as parents too,
私たちで何とか
After
するから
talking
おとな
big
しく
like
していな
that
さいっ
during
て
telephone call
偉そうに
and
電話し
telling
て
them that we'll
そ
handle
の
it
下の
and
根も
they
乾か
should
ないう
stay
ちに
put.
助けを求めるなって
We can just start asking for help right
実
away.
に格好悪いわね
That would be very uncool.
この後に及んでは
At this point,
くだらん
pride
プライ
is
ドなど
already
とっくに紙切れだ。
worthless than nothing.
知恵を絞ろうじゃない
Then
か
we'll put our heads
こ
together.
こはどこなんだ
What is
本
this?
当に
Is
食
it
堂
really,
の真下なのだろ
is
う
it
か
really underneath the dining
それと
hall?
も
Or else is it
屋
a
敷とは
different
異なる
place
別の場
separate
所だろう
from
か
the mansion? Kraus, Kiri and Nanjo began to discuss their plans. Canon was squatting by the bars, silently trying to sense anyone's presence, just as he had been ordered. Shannon came close to him and they both squatted down together.
気配は感じるの？
Do you sense someone? Yes.
こちらに意識は向けてい
They
ない
aren't
けれど
paying attention in this
比較的
direction,
近く
but
に誰かいる
there's somebody relatively close by.
それは人間？
Is he human?
ヤギたちだと思う
I think it's the
あいつ
goats.
らの吐息は
Their breathing is
実に
rather
賑やかだよ
noisy. Canon's ability to sense the presence of others was several levels above that of a human. He described their breathing as noisy, but Kraus and the rest couldn't even pick up the slightest hint of it. Therefore, even if he had simply reported it, they would have mercilessly have downed his ears.
捕まっちゃったね。
They got us, didn't they?
珍しいよ
It's
殺されない
unusual
で
for us to be
捕
captured
まるなん
without
て
being killed.
今回はベアトリーチェ様がお
This
越しになら
time,
ないし、
Beatrice-sama didn't make her
親
appearance.
方様が書斎を
The
出られる
master
し、
left his study.
何が何だかわ
We
かん
don't
ないね
have。a clue what's going on.
わかるさ
I do.
何が起ころうと変わろう
What
と
happens changes.
すべて
what
あの魔女
happens
の気
or
まぐれと余
changes.
興
It's all that the witch's fickle imagination.
結果は何も変わらないのさ
The result will be no different.
今回は黄金鏡
I
に
wonder if this time we'll be
いけるかな？
able to go to the Golden Land.
さあね
Who knows?
僕たちは脱落
We
率
have
が
a
高いから
high rate of losing.
そう
Però
い
qui
え
mi
ば
state facendo
二人で第一の番を生き延びた
Qua
の
mi
っ
state
て
facendo un grosso collegamento. Esatto. Loro sanno dei giochi precedenti. That's a game changer. Com'è possibile che loro sappiano dei giochi precedenti? Come to think of it, it's a rare thing that both of us survived the first Twilight, isn't it?
「
儀式が始まってる
I
の
get the
に
feeling that this is
こう
an
して二人で
incredibly
お話でき
unusual
る
for
なん
us
て
to be able to talk
なんだ
together
かす
like
ごく
this,
珍しい
even
気がす
though
る
the ritual has already begun.
そうかもね。でも
Maybe. But
それも
that's
また
still just for
魔
the
女の余
witch's
興だろうさ。
entertainment.
僕たちがいつもすぐに脱落
I'm
する
not
から
thinking of it as
今
anything
度は
other
少し
than
生き
letting
延び
us
させて
live for just a little
から
longer
かっ
to
てやろうくらい
ridicule
にし
us
か思ってない
since
よ。
we usually drop out right at the
また
beginning. I
黄
wonder
金鏡には
we'll be
た
able
ど
to
り着
reach
けないのか
the
な。
golden land again.
どうせそうさ。
Sure
下手
we
な
won't.
期待を持つと
I held
ま
on
たつけ
on
込まれる。
foolish hope. If we hold on any foolish hope, we'll get taken advantage of again. But we'll get taken advantage of
ど
again.
うせそうさ。
Cos'è che dice? Sosse sosa?
どうせそうさ。どうせそうさ。どう
Doce
せ
sosa.
そうだね。
That's
前回は
nice
カノン君
time
が
we
つけ込まれ
got
たも
taken
んね。
advantage of.
僕はバカだ。
Aspetta, last time loro sono morti nella prima Twilight nella serie di Closed Rooms. Doce sosa. Doce sosa. C'è un po' troppa luce. Faccio così. Un po' meno. Doce sosa. Ho le mani fredde. Doce sosa. Doce sosa. I'm an idiot. Anche io, Canon. Anche io. Canon made a sour look and turned his head. Shannon laughed softly and apologetically leaned towards his
でも
shoulder.
お
But
嬢
it's
様が
nice to
無
hear
事で
that
よかったね。
Milady is safe, isn't it?
第一の番を逃
She
れただけ
escaped the
さ。
first Twilight.
それ以
So
降の番に
she might just be
より無残な
made to
方法
wait
で
for
殺さ
an
れる
even
のを
crueler death
待たされてい
in
る
a
だけか
later
もしれない。
Twilight.
それを言ったら姉さんこそ
What about you, Nathan?
ジョージ様が無事
Aren't
で
you
よかっ
glad
たじ
that
ゃない
George
か。
Sam is
二
safe?
人で黄金鏡に
Be
たどり
nice
着ける
if
といい
you
ね。
two could reach the Golden Land
あり
together.
がとう。同じことを
I
カ
wish
ノン
the
君
same
とお
for
嬢
you
様にも。
and Lady as well.
僕は期
I
待はして
don't
ない
have
よ。
my hopes up.
姉さんの言うとあの魔女は
All that
ご褒美を
witch is
ぶら下げ
doing
て
is having fun
相手
dangling
が右往左往
prizes
する
in
のを見て
front of
楽しん
people
でるだけなんだ。
and watching them flounder su singhiozzo anche.
どうせ誰も
I'm sure
黄金鏡
none
に行けや
will
し
be
ない。
able to go to the Golden Land.
僕がお嬢様と
If I was
黄金
foolish
鏡に
enough
た
to
どり着きたいと
reach
願っ
the
てしまっ
Golden
たなら
Land
あいつは
with
それこそ面白が
That
って
witch would find that
絶対に
very
僕た
fun
ちを
to
たどり
toy
着かせたり
with
はしないさ。
and would certainly never let us reach
そう
there.
だね。
You're
ベア
right.
トリーチェ様は
Beatrice
よ
Sam
り
is
面
thinking
白く
about
なるよう
which
に
order of
生贄の順
sacrifices
番を
will
考
be
え
most
てる。
interesting.
無作為に選ん
The
でる
whole
なんて
thing about them
大嘘
chosen
だ。
at random is just a blatant
あの
lie.
ペテン師魔
A
女め。
swindling
どう
witch.
せ
All
黄金
that
鏡に
about
たどり
having
着けば
any wish you want
あらゆる
granted
願い
in
が
the
叶う
Golden
なんて
Land is probably just a lie.
そんなことはないよ。
That's
黄
not
金
true.
鏡は
The Golden Land
素晴らし
is
い
a
ところだ
wonderful
よ。
place.
行ったことあるの？
Have you been
ちょっ
there?
ぴりだけね。
Only for a little
それ
bit.
すらも
Though even
ベア
that
トリ
was
ーチェ様
probably
の
just
戯れだ
Beatrice
ったのだ
Sam's
ろうけ
joke.
ど。
どんなとこなの？
Was it like there?
うん。
Well,
素晴らしいところだよ。
it is a wonderful
うまく
place.
説明でき
Can't
ない。
really explain it
安ら
well.
かな
It's a world
夢の中みたいな世界。
like a pleasant
バラが
dream.
咲き乱れてて
A paradise
美
like
しい蝶が
place
舞っ
with
てる
roses
ような
blooming all over and
極
beautiful
楽みたいな
butterflies
感じ。
dancing or something like that.
そういう具体
It's
的
not
な
a
イメージ
place
の
with
と
a
ころじゃない
tangible
の。
image like
本
that.
当に
It's
夢
really,
の
it
中み
really
たいな
is
ところ
like
なの。
being in a
そこ
dream.
にいるときは
When you're there,
とて
when
も
you're
穏
there,
や
it's
かで
very
安ら
gentle,
かで
very
いつ
peaceful.
までも眠
And
ってい
you're
るこ
allowed
とを
to
許
sleep
され
as
て
long
る。
as you want. Like
まるで
when you wake up
休
early
日の
on
早朝の
your
お布
day
団の
off
中みたい
lying
な
under
感
the
じ。
covers.
カーテンの隙間から日が差してき
Sunlight
て
comes in through the
そろそ
cracks
ろ
in
起
the
きないと
curtains and you
と思
think
うんだけど
you have to
今
get
日は
up.
休日だ
But
か
then
ら
you
起き
realize
なく
it's
て
your
もい
day
いん
off
だっ
and you
て
can
気
go
づい
back
て
under the covers again.
もう一回
It's a
お
place
布
where
団の
you can
中
feel
に
like
潜り
that.
込む時みたいな。
僕なら損したと思うな。
I feel annoyed that I got up at
休日
all.
なのに勘違いして起
Getting
き
up
出す
by
なんて。
accident, even though it's your
姉さんくらい
day
だ。
off, is something only you would do, Nathan.
それで
Go
うん。
on.
そ
Well,
こにいた時は
when I
ね。
was there, I felt very
満たされて
content
て
and very
でも
calm. But
元
once
の
you
世界
return
に
to
戻っ
this
てく
world,
る
you
と
can't remember it
つ
well.
い直前まで
Even
そ
though
こにい
you've
たは
only
ずな
just
のに
been
ついさっきまで見てい
It's
た
a
夢
lot
が
like when you can't
思い出
remember
せ
a
ないの
dream
に
you were just
でも
having.
と
But I
って
still
も穏や
remember
か
that
で
it was very
静かな
calm
世界
and
だったこ
quiet
と
world.
それだけ
That's it.
なんだ
Wow.
あいつが偉そうに
Golden
言う
Land
黄金
she's
鏡
been
なんて
bragging about isn't much
大したこ
special
と
at
ないな
all.
何でも願い
I
が
thought
叶
it
う場
was a
所だと
place
思
where
って
all
たの
your
に
wishes came true.
その通りだよ
It
何
is.
でも願いが
It's a
叶う
place
場
where
所
all your wishes will be
少
granted.
し
Well,
違うかもしれ
maybe
ない
that's not quite it.
何も願わなくてもいい場
It
所
might be better to say that
もう
in a
正
place,
解かもし
it's
れ
a
ない
place where you don't have to wish for anything.
例えばカノン君
For
が
example,
寒くて
if
上
you
着が
were
欲しい
cold
と願った時
and wish you
上
had a
着をも
jacket,
らえれば とて
you'd
も
be
幸せな
happy
こと
to
だ
be
け
given
どそ
one.
もそも暖
But
かい
if
部
you
屋
were
に
in
い
a
られた
warm
なら
room to begin
上
with,
着が欲しい
there
なんて
wouldn't even be a
願う
reason
必要
to
さ
want
え
a
もない
jacket,
でしょ
right?
黄金鏡は
That's what the
そういう
golden
ところな
land is
の
like.
大抵の願いは
There's no need
願
for
う必要さえ
to
なく
even
なる
wish for most wishes.
すべてから解放された何もかも
It's
が
a
穏や
world
かな世界
released
なの
from everything, where everything is calm.
与えられて幸
You could even
せ
say it's a place that transcends the concept that having your wishes granted will bring happiness. A world released from everything.
なんだか宗教っぽい世界
Sounds
だ
kind
な
of religious.
そしてそこでは
And
す
there
べてが平
everything
等
is
な意志ある
equal.
存在
All
は
things
す
with
べての
minds are
人
equal.
間も
There
家
are
具
no
も魔
humans,
女も
no
ない
furniture, nor witches.
そこでの私は
There, I
誰
was
とも
equal to
対等で
everyone.
公平もう家具だからと
There was no longer any
何も
need
自
to
分を
feel
恥じる
ashamed
必
of
要がない
myself because I was furniture.
すべての人間とも
It was
そ
honestly
し
a
て
happy
魔女と
world
さえ対
where
等
I
な
could be, where I was
本当
equal
に
to
幸
all
せな世界
humans,
だったの
even
う
witches.
まく思い出せないけ
Can't
ど
really remember it
そ
well,
こでは
but
私
I have the feeling that
ベアトリーチェ
I
様
was,
とさえ対等
I
な
was
関係
even
で
equal to Beatrice
良い
Sama.
友達でい
We
ら
were
れた気
good
がする
friends.
あの魔女がいるなら
If that
ろくな
witch
理
is
想
there,
郷じゃないよ
it's not much of a paradise,
Ne.
is it?
その幸せな
You
黄
want
金
to go
鏡
to
に
that blissful
姉さん
golden
はジョー
land
ジ
with
様と
George
一緒にお
Sama?
かしな話だね
That's
黄
strange.
金鏡は
The
全て
golden
が
land
満
is
ち
an
足りた
utopia
理想
where you
郷なわけでしょ
where you want for nothing,
ジョー
right?
ジ様がいなくても
Wouldn't you be
十
content
分に
even
満
if
たされて
George
そうだけど
Sama wasn't there?
黄金鏡はね
The golden
とても
land
穏
is
やかで
very calm,
安らか
peaceful,
で
and everything is
す
fair
べ
and
て幸
equal.
せだけ
But actually,
実は抜けてるの
happiness alone is left out.
幸せな世界じゃないの
It isn't a
も
happy
ちろ
world.
ん
Of course.
安らかで
Just
穏
by
や
being
かで公
peaceful,
平と
calm,
いう
and
だけで
fair, it's
す
an
ごい幸
incredibly
せな
happy
世界
world.
でも
But I
そ
guess
れ
you
を
could say
例え
that
るなら
it's
全
a
ての
world of
悩み
zero,
というマイ
where
ナス
you're
から解
released
放
from
さ
all
れた
negative
人
worries.
の世はマイナス
The
で満ちて
human
るから
world is filled with
も
negatives,
ちろん
so of
ゼ
course
ロ
a
という
zero
のは
would be
ものす
is
ごい幸
incredibly
福なわけ
happy,
だけど
but it's still zero. That's
正
asking for
確
a
だよ
lot,
ね
isn't
そ
it?
れはこういう感
It's
じ
something like
穏や
this.
かな休日
When
の
you're
朝
nodding
の
off on your own quiet holiday
最愛
morning,
の人も
if the
隣にい
person
て
you
く
love
れ
with
て
the most is next
手を
to
握
you
っててく
and
れ
they
た
are
なら
holding your hand, then
もっともっ
can
と
become an
素
even
敵な
greater,
幸せ
more
になれる
wonderful happiness.
みたいな
Something like that.
ごめん
So,
姉さんは例えが
Nathan
下手く
is
そだね
horrible with
バ
analogies.
カだから
Too stupid.
つまり姉さんにとって
To
の
you,
最高
the
の
greatest
幸せと
happiness
は
would be reaching that
ジョー
world
ジ様
together
と
with
一緒に
George Sama.
その
そ
Yes,
してきっと
I'm sure
カノン
that
君にとって
for
は
you, it would be reaching that world together with Milady.
公平な世界で
The
二
two
人は
will be
悩みから
released
解
from
放
their
され
worries in a fair world. It feels like I'm being
なんだかおかしな宗教を
indoctrinated
吹き込まれてるみたいだ。
into some kind of strange religion.
僕はもっとこ
I imagine
俗物
something
的な
more
う
worldly.
魔法の薬を
A
与えら
world
れ
where
る
you
と
would
人
be
間に
given
生まれ変
magic
われるとか
medicine that would make us
そういう
born
感じ
again
の
as
世界を
humans
想
or
像してたよ。
something like that.
行けばわかるよ
If you go, you'll
ベアト
understand.
リーチェ様が本当に気ま
Beatrice
ぐれな
Sama
方なら
really is a fickle
い
person.
つかきっと
Then surely
カノン
someday
君にも
she'll let
垣
you
間
get
見
a
させて
glimpse
くれ
of
るに
it
違
too.
いないそうすれば
Then you'll be able to
Nathan の
understand
例えが
my example.
よく
ま
Well, I'm
過
not
剰な
holding
期待
my
はしな
breath.
いことにしとくよ。いずれにせよ
At any rate, it
今回の
seems
僕
like
たちは
game over for us
こ
this
れで
time
ゲームを
already.
別の機会に に期
Maybe we
待
can
す
do
るさ。
better some other
そう
time.
だね
You're
お
right.
かしな期待を持つと
If we have some
ベアト
strange
リーチ様
hope,
に
Beatrice
ま
sama
た
will
つけ
take
込まれる
advantage of us
何も考
again.
えず
It might
た
be
だ運
best
命
for
に
us
身
to
を
just
任せ
stop
るのが
thinking and
私た
trust
ちには
ourselves
一番
to fate.
僕たちはただ
We just need
チ
to
ェ
be
スの
simple
駒であれ
chess
ばいいんだ。
pieces.
何を考えても考えなくてもどうせ魔女のチェス盤からは逃れられない。後のお役目はどういびり殺されるか そんな僕らに
No matter what we think or don't think, we
夢なん
can't
て
escape from that witch's chessboard. Our role is now just to wait and see how we'll be tortured to death. For us, the dream of the Golden Land is too unavailing.
そうだね
You're right.
ごめん
Sorry. Canon shrugged his shoulders, then told Shannon to leave him alone because she was interfering with his duty, distancing himself from her. Realizing her thoughtlessness in bringing up such an inappropriate topic and instead hurting Canon, Shannon bit her lower lip and stared at the ground. She wouldn't bother him anymore. But she went off and squatted in the corner by herself. In that moment, Canon twitched. It was like the ears of a cat when it reacts to a faint sound.
どうしたの
What's wrong? Shh.
旦那様誰か来ます
Somebody's coming.
何
They ended their conversation. They ended their conversation and strained their ears. For a while they couldn't hear anything, but before long they were able to hear the sounds of a large group of people walking.
おいでなすったわね
So they've come.
年貢の納め時か
The
さ
time
も
of reckoning is upon us.
最初で最
Or
後の
else
チャンスか
our final and last chance.
私が
I shall talk to Kinzo-san and I will try to find out where this place is somehow.
期待してるわ
We're counting on you. During the last phone call, Kiri had asked what the time over at the guest house was. It had been the same as her watch, and by this she said that she had learned that their watches hadn't been set back. It wasn't just the clocks on the walls in the guest house. Several people's watches, including George and Goda's, had matched. If that was the case, then after the massacre in the dining hall, they had been transported to the dungeon in only a few minutes. Not enough time had passed for them to be knocked out and carried away. Then were those really pitfalls, meaning that this was the area directly underneath the dining hall? As they could, all they could do was pray that Ange could find a way to find out where this was.
来ます
They're coming.
人数は4人
There's probably 4
親方様は
The master
並び
and 3 of those
食
who
堂に
appeared in the
姿を
dining
現したう
hall.
ち
もう十分だ
Okay, good.
君も後ろに下がりた
Come
まえ
back here
あ
as
とは
well.
私たちで応
We'll
対す
deal
る
with the rest.
シャノンちゃん申し訳ないけど電話のところに座ってもらえる
Shannon-chan, sorry, but can I have you sit by
ス
the
カートで
phone?
電話を隠して
Hide it with your skirt.
はい
Yes. The presence came closer and there was the sound of a heavy door being opened and on the other end of the corridor. The light they were apparently carrying illuminated the dimly lit room. The dimly lit corridor, stroking the walls with razor-sharp shadows. And then the lights from the lantern they held lit up the prisoners through the bars. The bars' sharp shadows dividing them lengthwise. There were 4 figures there. It was Kinzo, Ronove, Virgilia, and Gap.
後ろ宮家当主ゴールドスミス
The
教の
head,
おなりで
the
ござい
head
ま
of the
す
Ushiromiya family, Lord Goldsmith.
皆様
Everyone,
ご静粛
your silence, please.
ゴールドスミス
Goldsmith?
親父殿のペンネームだ
It's father's pen
怪しげな
name.
魔導書を
It
書く
seems
と
he always signs with it
そういう名を署
when
名してい
writing
るよ
those bizarre grimoires.
金蔵を英語風に
Kinzo made English
それなら
time.
ゴールドウェアハウスが正しいんじゃ
Shouldn't
な
that
い
be
の
Gold Warehouse? Perché?
ウェアハウスは倉庫ただ溜め込む
Warehouse is a place to keep things in and nothing more.
しかし私は金を生
Whereas
み出
I
し細
create
工し
gold
さ
and
らに
use
価
it,
値
I
を
use
高
my
めるのだ
craftsmanship to further increase its
ス
worth.
ミスの方がよ
Don't
り
you
ふさ
think
わしい
Smith
と思わん
is
か
much
ね
more fitting?
確かに 無駄口を失礼しました。
I apologize for blathering.
金蔵さん、こ
Kinzo-san,
れはどういうことなんだね。ここは一体
what in the world is this?
おや、我
Oh,
が友
my friend.
思い出せん
Can't
か
you
ね。
remember?
さすがにその牢
Certainly, you
の中
may
に
never
入っ
have
た
entered
経
the
験は
prison,
ない
but
だろう
you
が
should you
こ
should
の
remember
廊下
walking
を歩い
through
た
this
記憶
hall.
はあるはずだ。
Huh?
まさか。
Tommy,
心当たりがあるの？
do you have an
い
idea?
や、しかし
But no,
考えられない。
inconceivable.
第一、私たちは
Firstly,
落
we
とし穴
fell
に落ち、
through a pitfall,
しかも
and
ほんの数
furthermore,
分で
we were
ここ
locked
に
up
閉じ
in
込め
here
られたん
after
です。
only a few minutes.
そんなことは
Not
物理的
only
に
the distance is too
距離
great,
的
but
にありえない。
physically impossible
人間にはね。
for a human, right?
お父さん、ここは屋敷ですか。
Father, is this
屋敷に
dimension?
こんな地下があっ
To
たと。
think that dimension had an underground area like
フ
this.
ランス、お前たちがその存在をささやき、何度か私の後をつけ回して探ろうともしたではないか。それがここだよ。いや、正確にはそこの地下というべきか。
Kraus. Wasn't there a place whose existence you all whispered of and which you followed after me on numerous occasions trying to find? This is that place. No, to be correct, this is under that place.
まさかここは
That couldn't be
クワドリアンの
Quadorian's
地下ですか。
basement?
ご検察の通りで
It
す。
is as you
こちら
surmise.
はクワドリアンの地
This is
下
the
でございます
basement of Quadorian.
クワドリアン。まさか
You don't mean
噂の
Father's rumored
俺
hidden
たちが
mansion
本当に実在
really
したのか。
exists?
我が最愛
This
の魔
mansion was
女ベアトリーチェの
constructed
ため
for
だ
the
けに
sole
築い
use
た屋敷
of my
である。
beloved witch, Beatrice.
地上部分は
It
美
is
し
truly
き
a
上
shame
品な
that
屋
I
敷な
cannot
の
show
で
you
ある。
around the
そ
above
こ
ground
を案
section,
内でき
as
ず
it is such
実
a
に
beautiful
残
and
念に思う
elegant
ぞ。
mansion.
こんな牢屋があ
How
るお屋
lovely,
敷で
just the
二
two
人
of
きり
you
なんて
alone
素
in a
敵ね。
mansion with this kind of room.
どうもお父様と
It
は性
seems that
癖
you
が合わ
and
ない
I
み
are
たいよ。
differently inclined.
キリエさん、無礼な発言は
You
お
will
控
be
えになっ
wise
た
to
方が賢
refrain
明
from such rude comments.
です。でも同感よ。
I
私も
agree.
送られた屋敷にこんな力があったら
I had this kind of dungeon in
100年の声も冷め
even
て
100
金目のものだけいただいてとんずらするわ。
I take anything of value and run for the hills.
おや、
Oh,
そういうご趣味
you
はご
have
ざい
no
ませんか。
interest in that sort of thing.
てっきりキュン
And
キュン
here
しちゃう
I was
とば
thinking
か
that
り。
you would go ahead over here.
もちろんキュンキュンしちゃうわよ。
Of course I go ahead over
誕
here.
生日のプレゼントに
If I get a card or
首輪なんか
something
もらっ
for
ちゃ
a
ったりしたら
birthday
ね。
present.
ただしイケメン
Only
に限る。
if he's a star. È la seconda volta che lo dice. Cos'è la sua catchphrase? Va bene? Basta che sia fregno?
お静かに。
Quiet.
首輪より猿靴輪が必要
That
です。
gag more than a collar.
あら、あなたはそっちも
Even
いけちゃ
that's
う
not
の？
off limits to you.
リアって好き嫌いないのね。
Liam.
勝手に人の名前を
Give
略
you
さないで
permission
くだ
to
さい。
shorten my name.
やかまし
Enough,
い
you
女た
noisy
ち。
women.
お前たちも同
Are
じよう
you
に閉じ
telling
込め
me
られ
that
ていた
you'd like to be
世の中。
locked up in the same cell?
これは失礼いたしました。
I apologize
親方様、
for that.
この牢体にこのような
The
寒い
old
牢
body
獄
of
では
mine
身が
will
持ち
not
ま
be
せん。
able to stand such a cold prison. Virgilia quickly apologized, but Cap merely laughed together with Ronove. It was like she was saying that she wouldn't be captured, or else that even if she were to be captured, it would be meaningless.
牢とは
A
捕らえ
prison
逃
is
が
a
さぬ
place
こ
where the
と。
captured cannot escape.
それはすな
That
わち
implies the
生
strong
涯
will
手
and
放さ
love
ぬと
to
の
not
強い意
let
志と
go for
愛
a
で逃
lifetime.
げても諦められる程度の女ならば愛を語るに値しない。
A woman who you could give up on if she ran away is not worthy of the world. Is not worth the... Come cazzo parli, Kinzo? A woman who you could give up on. That implies a strong will and love to not let go for a lifetime. A woman who you could give up on if she ran away is not worth the word love. Sì, ho avuto un momento, ho fatto... Ok, ho capito, è Kinzo being Mister Patriarcato in questo momento, ok, ho capito. Non è vero amore se non è vero amore se lei scappa e tu non la vai a riprendere. Se lei è devastata e vuole scappare via perché la stai tenendo bloccata in un cazzo di dungeon sottoterra e tu non la vai a riaccappare, non è vero amore.
A woman who makes you fall so madly in love that you don't want her to let her escape to the point of binding her in chains. It is only upon reaching that level that it becomes a love worth sacrificing my life for. I will not ask you to understand. I cannot be bound by anyone. And will not be bound. I don't want to be loved. I want to love. I feel the same as you, Goku. That's why I understand the madness of your love.
愛と狂気は紙一重というわ
Love
け
and
か。
madness are two sides of the same coin, or so they
実
say.
に旗迷惑の話だ。
しかし
But
あっ
learning
さり所
where
在地が分かったの
we
は大きい
are
わ
so easily was a big step.
詳しい経緯は後
We
で
had
聞
asked
くけど
details later,
南
but
條
it
先
seems
生は
that
ここをご存知
you
の
know about this place, right, Dr. Nanjo?
はい。そこの廊下
That
がクワド
corridor
リアン
is the
の地下通
underground passage beneath
あ
Quador.
の先をまっすぐ行
Then
けば
if we go
長い
straight
地下道
there,
に
it
なり
becomes a long
それをずっと
tunnel.
歩けば
And
屋敷に戻れる
if we stay on that, we should be able to return to the mansion. Questa è tanta roba. Cioè, buttata lì in mezzo a un discorso un pochino del cazzo di Kinzo che fa Mister Patriarcato e Only Feeds a Stud, ok? Questa è roba grossa. Cioè, non solo sappiamo che Nanjo è stato portato da Kinzo a girare per Quadori, gliel'avrà mostrato, ma se loro sono in una prigione sotto Quadorian, Nanjo dice ok, noi siamo sotto Quadorian, se siamo effettivamente lì e usciamo da questo passaggio, ci dovrebbe essere un lungo tunnel che ci permette di tornare al mansion. Quindi c'è un tunnel che connette un mansion con l'altro. Ci sono i due mansion, uno dall'altra parte, uno ai due poli dell'isola, perché ci avevano detto, cazzo, che bello fare questi ragionamenti, cioè io lo so già, ma è bello riuscire a fare questi ragionamenti. Esatto, è proprio quello che stavo per dire, Andrew. Noi sappiamo che Eva è stata trovata a Quadorian. Vuol dire che dopo che è successo quel che è successo, se prendiamo per buono quello che è successo in episodio 3, anche se abbiamo i nostri dubbi, però per carità, prendiamo per buono quello che è successo in episodio 3. Eva ha ucciso Butler alla fine e dopo deve aver avanti Ange. Dopo Ange avanti Ange, va bene. Butler deve aver preso poi questo tunnel ed è arrivata a Quadorian. Roba importante questa, buttata lì in mezzo alle informazioni.
この鉄格子さえなんとかできれば
If we
屋敷に
could
帰れる
just do
って
something about this pass, we could go home.
お父さん
Father,
私たちをどう
what
する
are
つ
you
もりですか
planning to do with us?
すでに宣告
As
した
I've
通
already
り
declared,
お前たちは後の
you are
晩
the
のための
sacrifices
生
for
贄
the
であ
later
る
twilights.
都合よく人数
There
も
are
5人
conveniently 5 of you
い
here.
ぐりて殺す
You
5
will be
人の人質
perfect
に
as
ぴった
hostages
り
for
であ
the
る
5 gougings.
なるほど私たちも
Then
年貢
it
の
is
納め
time
時
of
というわけ
reckoning
です
for
か
us then.
やがてはだ
Eventually.
が今は
That's
そのた
not
めに訪
why
れた
I'm
ので
here
は
this
ない
time.
安
So
心せよ。
relax.
それに言ったはず
Besides,
だ。
I believe I said it
もし
already.
も孫たち
One
の
of my
誰かが
grandchildren
我が
deemed
全てを
suitable
継承
to
するに
inherit
ふさわしい
everything
と
from
認
me,
められ
then the
たなら、
ritual would be
この
called
つ
off.
まり
In
お
other
前
words,
たち
your
は
lives
命
will
拾
be
いをすると
spared.
いうわけだ。
お子さんたちに何をするつも
Planning
りで
to
すか？
do to the children
次期当主
to
にふさ
see
わ
if
し
they
い
are
かど
suitable
う
to be
か
my successor or not.
テストを与え
I
る。
shall give them a
そ
test.
の結果
If even
私を
one
う
of
ならせ
them
る
can
者が
impress
一
me,
人でもいた
I'll
ならば
call the ritual
儀
off.
ふさわしい者がいなかっ
If there isn't
子供
anyone
たちを
suitable,
どう
what
す
are
る
you
つもりですか？
planning on doing with the children?
それを心配す
There
る
is
必
no
要は
need to
ない。
worry about that.
どうせ先に
After
生贄
all,
とされ
you
るの
are
は
the
お
ones
前
who
た
will
ち
be
だ。
needing to sacrifices first.
その後のことな
Anything
ど知っ
after
たこ
that
とで
should
は
be
なか
no
ろう。
concern to
お
you.
前たちは
You
自
simply
ら
need
の
to
命
place your
運を
faith
自
in the
らの
hands
子
of
供
your
たち
own
に委ねる
children.
のだ。お前たちが生
Your
み、
children,
教え、育
the
てて
fruit
きた
of what
結晶
you've
が
birthed,
子供たち
taught,
だ。
and raised.
お前たちの命
They should
運を委ね
truly
る
be the
に
most
実に
suitable
ふさ
to
わしい
entrust with your
存在
fate.
のはず。そう心配そうな顔をするなよ、クラウス。お前の自慢
Believe in the
の
daughter
100
that you
億の
plagued
価
is
値のある
worth 10
娘
billion
を信じろよ。
まったくね。
Exactly.
子供は親の結晶
Children
よ。
are the fruit of their
親の
parents,
命運を預けるに
worthy
ふ
of
さわしいわ。
entrusting with their parents'
お
fate.
父様にとって
And
もね。
father, that applies even to you.
肝の据わった女だ。ルドルフにはもったいない。
Anche da morto lo rostano. Ah, this woman has guts. What a waste on Rudolph.
キリエさん、
Yes,
あまり挑発し
it
ない
would
方
be
がい
best
い。
not to aggravate him too much.
どうかんだ。
You
今
could.
は大変。
Let's bear with it for now.
そうね。
That's
どう
fine.
せ私たちは
After
まな板の
all,
上
we're
の
simply
恋
fish on a chopping
今
board.
さら何もでき
There's
やしない
nothing we can do now.
私に対し威勢のいい口を叩くことはできるがな。
Except insult me with such
嫌
vigor.
いではないぞ。
I don't
そう
dislike
いう
that kind
女
of
は
woman, you know.
ベアトリーチェも初めはそう
Beatrice
い
was
う
that kind of
女だ
woman
っ
too,
た。
in the beginning.
親方様、そろそろ本題。
Let us get back to the main
さ
topic.
っきから脱線し
You've
ま
been
くり
getting
です
derailed for a while now.
おお、そうであっ
yes,
た
there was
な。
that.
すまぬす
Sorry,
まぬ
sorry,
我が
my
友
friend.
よ。それでは本題に入ろう。
Let's get back to the main topic.
そのために
For that,
電話を用意
I
し
have
ておい
prepared
た
the
のだ。
phone.
シャノン、
Shannon,
知恵が
very
回るな。
shrewd of you.
もう隠さなくて
You
も
don't
よ
have
い
to
ぞ。
hide it any
そ
longer.
れは私が用意させたのだ。
失礼いたしました。
My apologies. Shannon quickly withdrew and the telephone was revealed.
クラウスよ。
Rouse
ゲストハウスの孫
called
た
the
ちに電話
grandchildren
を
in the
かける
guest
がよい。
house
そして我が
and
テス
tell
ト
them
を
of the test
試練の始ま
the
りを
start
彼
of
ら
your
に告げるの
trial,
だ。
of my trial. With a gesture that seemed to be saying, "Go ahead," Ronove urged Kraus to pick up the
嫌
receiver.
だと
And
言
I
っ
say
た。
no.
ほほう。取引の余地
You
がどこ
think
にあ
to
るというの
and,
か。
and why do you think you're in a position where you can make a
お
deal?
前が電話を
If
せ
you
ぬという
don't
な
call
ら
the grandchildren,
孫たちには
won't
チ
even
ャ
be
ンスさえ
given a
も与
chance.
えぬ。後ろ宮家はこれにて
Your
終
family
わ
will
り。
end here.
お前たちは
And
直
I'll
ちに
turn you
生
into
贄だ。
sacrifices right away.
直ちに生贄なら幸運よ。
You'll be lucky to become sacrifices right away.
あなたたちの眼前
Do
で
you think it'd be more
子供たち
painful
を
to
先に
watch the
生贄に
children
され
you
た方が
made
辛
into
いと思うけれ
sacrifices
ど
first before your very eyes?
が生贄の順番は
Master
親
is
方
the
様
one
が
who
決めま
decides
す。
the order of the
勝手
sacrifices.
なことを言わない
Keep
よう
your
に。
opinions to yourself.
リア
Liam,
今
you
私の名
just
前を
tried to
縮めようとし
shorten my
て
name and
詰まった
failed,
でしょ。
didn't you?
してません。
I did
だ
not.
から勝手に人の名
I
前を
told
略
you
さな
not
い
to
ように。
shorten my name.
女は実
Women truly are
かしましいですな。
Noisy. Oh, il mondo di 12 anni dopo, ottobre 1998. Siamo post Ange qui, dopo Ange. Un secondo solo. Che ridere però. Coso. Genji. Sì, buonanotte Genji. Kinzo e Ronove hanno fatto letteralmente women. Letteralmente. Siamo 12 dopo Ange, sì. Qua abbiamo... no, siamo Ange side. Sakutaro morto. Qua niente. Ok, controllativo. Oh mio Dio, quanti puntini che ci sono in Niji, ma hai ragione Andrew. Vabbè. The clinic that Nanjo had opened and later passed on to his son still existed on Nijima. The aged doctor was Nanjo's son, but the atmosphere about him was very different. Oh, Nanjo! Il Nanjo Junior! Nanjo Masayuki. Vediamo un secondo. Eccolo qua. Nanjo Masayuki, Nanjo's son, took over the Nanjo's clinic. Unlike Nanjo, he gives a slightly dispassionate, indifferent impression. After the commotion surrounding Rokkenjima, he grew to completely despise the press, and never again did he attempt to speak of what had happened at that time. He used to have a daughter who was afflicted with an untraceable disease, but unfortunately, she wasn't able to live out her natural lifespan. Minchia, che sfiga. Aspetta. A quanto legge il livello di potenza di Beatrice? Quale Beatrice? Ce ne sono troppe. Non ho sentito che voce ha. Vabbè. Fammi sentire. È veramente un angio più giovane come voce. No, è vero Gio, perché ne aveva parlato in episodio 3. Oh, è vero che aveva detto che aveva una malattia, no? Ne avevano discusso. Mamma mia che memoria, Gio, io me ne ero completamente dimenticato. Sembra di sì. Cioè è meno greve la voce, è meno pesante. I'm truly sorry to say this after you have come all this way, but I have nothing in particular to tell you. Nanjo's son spoke very indifferently. After the incident on that island was taken up by the talk shows in the most indiscreet manner. There was a great deal of deeply offensive probing into my father, who was Mr. Ushiroma's doctor and friend. As of it, without proof and also defied of my father's previous achievement. All of it without proof and also defied all of my probable. I still feel a great deal of resentment towards all of that.
無理もないことと思います。
I think that's understandable.
私も同じようなものですの
It
で
has pretty much been the same for me.
私など6つの
Constantly,
時から永
since I
遠で
was
す。
6.
そうでしたね。
True.
これは失礼。
My apologies. The doctor finally remembered that Ange was also a victim, exposed to the same curious eyes as he had been.
そんなあなたなら
That case,
当時の件に
you can
も
probably understand
う関わりたくない
why
という
you want nothing more to do
私どもの
with
気持ちも
that
お分かりでしょう。あれは不幸な事故でした。
That was an unfortunate accident.
それを事件だと
The
騒ぎ
only
立てたが
ones
る
who
のは
want to make a
無
fuss
責
about
任な
it
テ
being
レ
a
ビと雑誌
crime
だけ
are
で
the
す。
irresponsible TV shows and magazines.
彼らの態度には心
And
底
more than
うん
fed
ざ
up
りさ
with
せられますよ。
that attitude. Nanjo have been placed in the spotlight for being one of Ushiromiya's Kinzo's few friends. Because of that, there had been a persistent offensive from the witch hunters and the press to use the late Nanjo's son as well as a source of information. The doctor went on and on, criticizing the press
お気持ちよくわかります。
indignantly. really understand
私
how you
生活に
feel.
至るまで監視を受
My
け
personal life was put under
プライバシー
surveillance.
も肖像権も
Had no
果て
privacy,
は
no
人
portrait
権さえも
rights.
認められ
Heck,
て
I
たか
don't
わ
even
から
know
ない
if I
私
was
ですから
even afforded human
その
rights.
やり場のない怒
So I
り
deeply empathize
良
with
好
your
察してきま
pent up
す
anger.
だからこそ
And for that very
私の人
reason,
生
I
を
want
こ
to
こ
know
まで台
more
無し
than
にした
anything
あの
else.
事件は
What in the
一
world
体何
was
だった
that
のか
accident? Was that
どうしても知り
incident
たいの
that
です
was that so totally ruined my
それで
life?
ここへ来ました
That's why I came in.
私もあなたと同じ当
I
事者
am a
です
related party just like
雑誌
you.
記者でも
Not
イン
a
タビュアーでもあり
magazine
ません
columnist or an
そこを
interviewer.
誤解しないでくだ
Please
さい
don't get the wrong idea.
私は
I didn't
道
come
楽で
to
こん
do
なと
this
ころまで
for
来た
fun.
私を見下すのもいい加
I
減
am
にしてくだ
deeply
さい
and I'd very much appreciate if you stop looking down on
あ
me.
の事件で狂わされた人
If
生の
we're going
傷
to do
跡
a
比べをするなら
comparison
ば
on whose life was
私とあ
more
なたで
screwed
は
up by
比
that
べ物にもな
accident,
らない
you won't even come close. Ange spoke sharply, never having imagined that he would be talked back in such a forceful manner. The doctor couldn't help but fall silent. From Ange's perspective, the doctor was whining about absolutely nothing. She really wanted him to pack in his patronizing attitude. It was about time to make him understand how many days had passed for her before arriving on this island. The doctor realized that he had misspoken and remained silent for a while, looking uncomfortable.
当時のことを思い出すのは苦
I
痛
know
で
it's
しょうが
probably painful to
ご存
remember
知の
what
ことがあ
happened
っ
at
たら
that
何
time.
でも教えてく
If
だ
there's
さい
anything you do know, please tell me, no matter what it
も
is.
ちろん口外は
Of
しません
course, I'll tell no one.
私は
I visited here
私の人
today
生
to
に
bring
決
some
着をつけ
closure
るため
to
に
my life.
私は18です
I'm
あの事件
18.
は
That incident
私の
took
人
away
生の
12
12年を
years
奪っ
of my
た
life.
そしてこれからも奪い
You
続ける
probably
でしょう
keep on taking.
私は6歳のあ
I
の日
was
か
thrown into darkness when
ら
I
ずっ
was
と
6
暗闇
years
に
old
放り
and
込ま
never
れた
got
ままなん
out.
でそんな私で
You're
も
still going to tell me
知
I
る
have
権
no
利がな
rights
い
to
とお
know?
っしゃるんですか
いや失敬
No, I am sorry.
たちの悪い連中
It
ばかり
seems
が
that
来てい
since
たの
all
で
the others who
私も
came
つい身構え
were
てしまったようです
ill-natured I instinctively put my guard
すっ
down.
きりしたのをお
I
詫びします
apologize for my rudeness.
わかった他言無用を誓ってい
If
た
you
だけ
swear
るな
not to breathe a
何
word
で
of
もお話しします
this to anyone, I'll tell you everything.
ありがとう先生
Thank you, doctor.
ではお願いしま
Then,
す
if you
何
would,
でも結構です
please tell me
話してく
anything
だ
you
さい
can. Anche noi vogliamo saperlo.
知っての通り父は後ろ宮氏の主治医であると同時に
As you know,
チェス
my
を通じ
father
た
was not
友
only
人同士
Mr.
でもありました
Sushiromi, personal physician, but his friends through the game of
その
chess.
信仰は後ろ
That
宮氏が
relationship
ロ
was
ッケン
very
島に
long,
移り住んできた
stretching
当
back
時か
to
ら
the
の
time Mr.
とても
Ushiromi
長いも
moved
の
to
でした
Rokkenjima. Ok, quindi sono tipo 30, 40 anni che sono amici,
ど
quindi
のくらい仲が良かったのです
just
か
how close were they?
相当だったようです
Considerably, it
チェ
seems.
スの縁で
It seems that
先
their
方の屋
connection
敷に
through
厄介
chess
にな
led
る
my
ことも
father
少
to
なく
stay
なか
at
ったよう
Mr.
です
Ushiromi's mansion quite often.
私の口から言うのもなんだが後
I'm
ろ
not
宮氏
sure
は
it
非常
is
に
right of
気
me to
難し
say
い方
this,
でし
but
た
Mr. Ushiromi was extremely
そして
moody.
父は
My
そ
father
んな
was
人
an
間と付き合う
exceedingly
のに長けた
magnanimous man
非常に
who
おおらかな人
excelled
だ
at interacting with people like
孤
him.
独な後ろ宮氏
Not
にとっ
hard
て
to imagine that
稀
he
な
was
友
a
人であ
rare
ったことは
friend,
想
so
像
he
に難
isolated
しくないでし
Mr.
ょう
Ushiromi.
当日は親族会議でした
The day, that was the day of the family
後ろ
conference.
宮家の親族
No,
会議は
that day was the day
資
of the
産
family
やその運用
conference.
などにつ
The
いて厳
Ushiromi's
しく問
family
われ
conference are said to have involved a harsh questioning from Ushiromi Kinzo over how his fortune would be put
さ
to
ながら
use.
経営会議
Almost
のよう
like
な
a
ものだったとされて
financial
います
financial
そのような
conference.
席にまで
So
出席
Dr.
を求めら
Nanjo
れ
had
るほ
gained
ど
a
に
trust so great
南條先
that
生
he
は
was
信頼を得
asked
てい
to
たわけ
attend
ですね
even that.
父は純朴
My
な医師で
father
あり
was a simple doctor,
後ろ宮家のような富豪
so
の
I
財産運
cannot
用について
imagine
助
that he
言で
was
きる
in
よ
a
うな立場
position
にあっ
to
たとは
advise
思い
on
ません
asset management for a millionaire family like Yoshiromi's. Billionaire con la B.
おそらく当時の後ろ宮氏は健康状態が優れられなかったでしょうからその
He
介
was
添え
most
として
likely
呼ば
called
れてい
there
た
to
のでしょう
assist because Mr. Ushiromi's health was not at its best at the
親
time.
友の父なら
As Mr.
おそらく
Ushiromi was a
口も
close
固く
friend, I'm sure that
親
my
族会議
father
場の
would
秘
have
密も
kept his mouth
きっと
shut
漏らさ
and
ない
been
と
trusted
信頼
not
さ
to
れてい
leak
たに
the
違いない
secrets of the family conference.
当時の後宮金蔵は
Was
かな
Ushiromiya
り健康
Kinzo
状
in
態
a
が悪
very
かったの
bad
でしょう
health at the
カルテ
time?
が残っていたりは
Are
します
there
か
any medical charts left?
事故の当日
My
は
father
カルテを
probably
持
took
参
the
してい
medical
たのでし
charts
ょ
with him on the day of the
う。後ろ宮
accident.
氏のカルテは
I'm afraid
残
that
念
the
ながら
entire
フォルダご
folder
と
of
失われて
Mr.
います。
Shirama's medical charts have been lost.
父のクランクですし、
He was
私
my
も詳し
father's
いことは
patient.
分かりません。
I don't know the details either.
事件の前後
Around the time of the
何か気に
accident,
なるようなことはあ
was
りま
there
した
anything you thought was strange?
あるにはあります。ですが、非常に誤
However,
解を
it
招
seems
きそうなの
exceedingly
で、
likely to
あま
result
り
in
言
a
いたくはありません。
misunderstanding, so I don't particularly want to talk about it.
何ですか
What is it?
それを教えてください
Please tell me. For a while, the doctor beat around the bush, and after he said that's too much, Ange would not allow the subject to be dodged. Eventually, he was worn down, and after making Ange swear herself to secrecy again, he opened up.
実はあの事故の数日後
Truth
に
is,
私の
several
自宅に
days
郵
after
便が
that
届いたんです。
accident, I received something by mail at my home.
郵便
Mail?
それはとても奇妙な郵便
I
で
was
した。
very curious.
差出人が
The
私に
sender
なっている
was
のです
made
が、
out to be me,
それは
but
身に覚えのない
I
も
had
のでし
no
た。
memory of it.
何者かが私の名を語
Someone
って
had
出したと
sent
いう
it
こと
in
です。
my name.
宛先は
The
北海道
destination
の礼
was
文島。
Rebun Island in Hokkaido.
北方領土の話を抜きにすれば、
It is at the
日本の最北端の
northernmost
島で
tip
す。
of Japan, excluding the northern
そ
territories.
の宛先人
The
が
recipient
なんと
address was
礼文
on
島の住所ではあります
Rebun
が、
Island, but
父の名前だったのです。
the name was my father's.
しかし、送
However,
付先
it
住所が
seems
間違ってい
there
る
was
ら
a
しく、
problem with the
住所不
destination
明の付
address,
箋が
so
貼られて、
it had received an address unknown label
差出人であ
and been
る
returned to
私
the
のところ
sender.
へ戻ってきたわけです。
It was truly a strange tale. Nanjo's son's name was written as the sender. However, he said that he hadn't mailed the letter. In short, that meant someone sent it using his name. The destination was Nanjo Terumasa on Hokkaido Rebun Island. But the lot number written on it didn't exist. So the local post office had been unable to deliver it and instead sent it back to the sender, Nanjo's son.
中身は何だったんですか
What was inside?
本当に他言無用でお願いします。
Truly ask you that you keep silent about this.
私も
I am
非常
by
に迷
no
惑
means
しているんです。
pleased to have received
かとい
this.
って捨て
Even
るわけ
so,
にもい
I
か
can
ず、
hardly throw it away. The doctor stood up and headed for the bookshelf. There, dozens of dictionaries that could only have been ornamental had lined up one after another, asserting in the strongest way imaginable that the owner was an intellectual. When he pulled several volumes out of there, a large brown envelope was hidden behind them. He took it out and tossed it onto the desk. He had been carefully sealed with adhesive tape, and its faded color and dryness told it it had remained sealed for 12 whole years.
くれぐれも他言無用でお願い
Most
します。
sincerely, I ask for your silence. While emphasizing it so much was annoying, the doctor removed the seal with a quality paper knife. Then, when he tilted the envelope, an already open mail envelope spilled out. The envelope had some weight to it, hinting that there was something other than a letter inside. The recipient was actually Nanjo Terumasa. Even seeing that was a huge shock. After the incident, Nanjo's corpse had not been found, and he was being treated as dead in absentia under extraordinary circumstances. And despite that, the letter addressed to Nanjo in Hokkaido existed. One could almost take this as a sign that he had faked his own death and escaped to Hokkaido.
南條先生は本当に
Was
北海
Dr.
道の存
Nanjo
在を
really in Hokkaido?
あるいは
Or
同
was
姓
there
同名
another
の人物
person
が
there
北
with
海
the
道に
same first and last name?
父が何かの事情で
My
事故を
father
逃れ、
somehow escaped
北海
from
道
the
で存
accident
命
and
してい
was
たのだと
living
したら、
in
私たち
Hokkaido
家族に
and
とっ
was
ては
living on in
事情
Hokkaido.
に関わらず嬉しい
That
こと
would
です
have。made our family very happy regardless of the
私も
situation.
初めは
I
その可
also
能性
thought
を
of
考
that
えました。
possibility at first.
しかし、
However,
こ
the
の封筒
destination
の
address
送
of
付
the
先住所
envelope
は
does not
つ
exist.
まりこの封筒
In
は
short, this envelope
届くは
was
ずのない
mailed
郵便
that
な
had
のです。
no way of reaching him.
送付者が
Is there a
正しい住所を
possibility
書
that
き
the
損じた可
sender
能性は
miswrote the correct
も
address?
ちろん否定はでき
Of
ません。
course, I cannot disprove
です
that.
が
However,
住所の
judging from
番
the
地を見る
residence
限り
house number,
どうもそうは
I
思
find
え
it
ない
hard
の
to
です
believe.
北海道礼文島礼文郡礼文町 1-2-34-567
Hokkaido, Rebun Island, Rebun County, Rebun City, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Up until Rebun City, it's alright. But I just couldn't wipe away the feeling that the following sequential number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, was a little insincere. Felt like a fake address that some kid had made up.
おそらく
They probably
明らか
just
に存在しない住所を
randomly
デタラメ
wrote
に書
some
いたので
clearly
しょう。
non-existent
この
address.
封筒は初
I
めから
think it is natural to
存在せず
assume that
届くはずの
from
な
the
い住所
very
に送
beginning,
付されたと考
this
えるのが自然
envelope
だと思い
was
ま
sent
す
to a non-existent address to which he had no chance of being delivered. If the destination address doesn't exist, mail is generally returned to the sender. But even in the case of a faulty address, the local post office will often courteously, and to the best of its ability, research to find whether the sender's intended destination exists. When they still can't find it, the mail is sometimes returned after an investigation of several days. It seemed that this was what had happened with this envelope, and the stamp was postmarked October 3rd. It was postmarked on Nijima. Nijima is a long way from Rebun Island. On top of that, the destination was also nonsensical. It had taken more than a week for the mail to be returned. In other words, there was an extremely high chance that having this envelope returned to the sender after the indeterminate amount of time had been the goal from the very beginning. Why do something like that? Even before asking what it was that had been sent, this envelope was already veiled in mystery.
中身は
Prima di parlare qui, voglio che questa cosa sia chiara. Che cosa è successo? Qualche giorno dopo, una settimana dopo la tragedia, l'incidente di Rokkenjima, dove tutti sono scomparsi, solo Eva è rimasta in vita, e poi vabbè sappiamo che è stata trovata un pezzo di mandibola di Maria, ma tutti gli altri sono scomparsi, e anche i libri di Kinzo, e anche tutta la cartella medica di Kinzo che aveva Ange, che ha appena detto adesso. Una settimana dopo è arrivata una lettera al figlio di Nanjo. Questa lettera era stata inviata a nome suo il 3 ottobre, quindi il giorno prima della conferenza degli Ushiromiya. Stata inviata a nome del figlio di Nanjo a Nanjo, nel posto più alto possibile del Giappone, e come destinazione c'era un address che non esiste, e che, cioè col numero 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, era fatto apposta per non ricevere, per non arrivare a destinazione. Non esiste una destinazione valida. Quindi l'idea che è stata proposta adesso non è una mia idea, vorrei che fosse chiaro, perché io come sempre non voglio sviarvi, non voglio indirizzarvi da nessuna parte, quindi non voglio né portarvi verso la cosa giusta né verso la cosa sbagliata. Dico solo quello che è stato detto. L'idea è che sin dall'inizio chiunque ha mandato questa lettera, che ha firmato col nome del figlio di Nanjo, volesse fare in modo che questa lettera non arrivasse a destinazione e che tornasse indietro poi. Ok? Qua ci siamo tutti. Volevo... Fai bene a prendere appunti, Giove, perché sta roba è importante. La parte di Ange, secondo me, di episodio 4, secondo me vale la pena prendere appunti. Comunque sì, penso che ci siamo tutti, no? E ora passiamo alla cosa ancora più succulenta. And inside it?
どうぞ。
Go ahead. After getting the doctor's permission, I tilted the already opened envelope. From the inside came a small folded letter and a small key with a number tag attached. A swipe card slid out in addition. A112 was engraved on the key's number tag. I didn't know what it meant. This white card, the pitch black, and had golden letters engraved on it. Members was written there in English. The jet black gold lettered card design made it feel like something very high class. But of course, I didn't have a clue where this kind of card, what this kind of card it was, just from that. I unfolded the letter. Its contents were extremely brief, and only the following was written. O7151129. And the name of a central massive bank known throughout Japan, as well as the world's central branch. That was all.
これは
What's this?
貸金庫のカード
It's a card, a key,
そして
and
暗
a
証番号
pin
でした。
for a safe deposit box.
それも普通の貸金
And
庫
it
ではな
wasn't
い
a normal safe deposit box
特
either.
別な顧客のみに
It
許
was
さ
an
れているらし
unsettling
い
one which
不
was
気味な貸金
apparently
庫でした
reserved only for special clients. After he had finished putting his affairs in order following his father's funeral, he visited the bank. P and key and card. There was no doubt that something of great importance was stored there. It was natural that he felt curious about what that could be. At first he didn't know what to do, but the card wasn't properly his possession, and he mustered up his courage and showed the card to the bank clerk. He was then switched to a clerk with clearly high status, and was guided to a large vault on a 4th basement floor. The security on the way was very strict. The doctor had himself stored valuable items such as a real estate transcript in a safe deposit box before, but it was something on a whole different level.
私の使っている貸金庫の手
Unlike the
続きと違い
procedures at the deposit box I
カード
used,
と暗証番号
their system
そして
didn't
鍵
carry
を持
out
ってい
any
るならば
identity checks so
本
long
人
as you
確認
had
は
a
行わ
card,
れ
PIN,
ないという
and
シ
a
ステム
key.
でしたですが
But
と
in
に
any
かく厳
case,
重な
it
金
was
庫
a
室で
very secure
その
vault,
物
and
々
I
しさに
was
怯えました
frightened by how imposing it
こんな
was.
ところに預けざるを
Wonder
得な
what
い
kind of
どん
shady
な物騒な
objects
もの
might
が待ち受けてい
await
るのかと
that had been stored in a place like this.
それで
And so,
カードをリーダーに通
when
す
I
と
passed the card
暗
to the
証番号
reader
の入
and I
力を求め
was
られまし
asked
た
to input the pin,
そしてそこに
and
ある
after
8
the
桁の数字を
8-digit
入力
number
すると
was
認証
input
され
and
金庫
authenticated,
室への
I
入
was
室が
permitted
認められ
access
まし
to
た
the vault.
すごい光景でしたよ
It was an incredible
まるで
scene.
SF 映画のよう
A
な世
world
界だっ
like
た
something from a sci-fi
薄
movie.
暗い銀
That
色の広
massive
大な部屋
dimly
に
lit silver room
びっし
was
りと
covered
金庫
with
の扉
doors
が
to
埋め
safes. He entered the room along with the clerk. As soon as the card was read, the vaults he had a right to were apparently determined. So the safes he could open were lit with a green light, while those he couldn't open were lit with a red one.
A11 にはそれらの金庫のうちの一つを示すものでした
A112 indicated one of those
ちなみ
safes.
にそれ
By
以
the
外の
way,
金庫
there
に
was a long
ずら
line
りと
of
緑ランプ
other
が点灯
safes
していました
marked with a green lamp beside that
20
one.
個以上はあ
I
ったと思い
think
ます
there were at least
あるい
20.
は他の一角に
There
も
might
も
even
っとあ
have
った
been
のか
more in other corners of the
いず
room.
れにせよ
In any event,
私の鍵は
I only had
A11 に
the
の
key
み
to A112.
他の金庫の中
I
身を
had
確
no
かめ
way
る
of
術はあ
checking
り
the
ませんでしたが
contents of the other safes. As the clerk watched, the doctor unlocked and opened the safe. When he did, a safe drawer like a large cabinet opened, and an expensive-looking duralim mai sentito case è un metallo duralimin case showed itself. That was carried into a separate room where, for the first time, the clerk left and was introduced to the contents.
中身は
The contents were
現金でした
現金
cash.
どれほど
How much?
新札の100万円の束は
I've heard that
ちょ
a
うど
pack
厚
of
みが
1
1センチ
million
になる
yen
と聞いた
in
ことがあ
fresh
ります
banknotes is precisely a centimeter thick.
それがこれだ
Since
けの
those
ジュラル
were
ミンケースの
packed
中に
tightly
びっし
into
り
a
詰められていたのですから
duralumin case of such
多分
size,
1億はあったでしょう
100 million total.
数えたわけではないから
I
わか
don't
り
know
ません。
because I didn't
テ
count.
スラ触れませんでした
I
から
didn't even want to touch it. I didn't even touch it with my
私
hands.
はすぐに直
I
感しました。
realized it at
こ
once.
れは危険な金だと。
Dangerous money. It isn't normal to steal a whole 100 million yen in cash in a safe like that, case and all. It's much easier to deal with if you deposit into a bank account and turn it into a number. The very fact that they were unable to do that made it clear that there was something wrong with that cash.
私は頭が真っ白。
Mine went black and I
すぐに
instantly
関わり合って
realized
なら
that
ない
I
と直
must
感しま
not
した
get involved.
それで一切手を
You
つけな
didn't
かっ
use it at all?
はい。
Yes.
そのまま施錠し
I
直し
locked it straight
元の
back
金庫に
up,
預けて
returned
立
it
ち去
to
りま
its
した。
original safe, and
この
left.
鍵やカードも捨
I
てようと
thought
思い
about
ましたが
throwing away the key
何
and
が起こ
card,
るかわからない。
I have no idea what might
そのため
For
誰
that
も
reason,
内
I've
緒
been
で
hiding
12
it in
年
the
の
back of the
間
bookcase,
本棚の
secret
裏に
from
隠し
everyone,
続けてきたのです。
for a full 12
あ
years.
れが何の金だった
Still
の
don't
か
know what kind of
私に
money
も
that
未だに
was.
わかりません。
この封筒をお借りするこ
Could
とはでき
I
ますか？
borrow this envelope?
いえ、
No.
この場で見るだけにしてくだ
Just
さい。
view it here.
わかりました。で
Alright.
はちょっと
Then,
失礼
if
し
I
ます。
may,
調べ物を。
there's something I want to investigate. Dio mio, madonna, mi vengono i brividi a pensarci. Voglio vedere, io non dico, sto zitto. Voglio vedere se capite che cosa vuole fare Ange. Solo con questa immagine e con quello che ha detto adesso. Madonna, Andrew, ti do un bacio sulla bocca, porca puttana. I took an ancient's grimoire from the knapsack and I had sat down. Then I opened to the page with the paragraph Beatrice had written on Echan and compared the handwriting on both. The characteristic handwriting was unmistakable. The one who had sent this 100 million yen in cash was Beatrice itself. But what is that? What is it? Something bugging me. What is it? What is it?
ええ
E questo? Yeah.
そんな郵便物が確か届いた
Pretty
気
sure
が
I
しま
got
すわ。
something like that in the mail.
母ちゃん、あ
Hey
れはどこ
ma,
にしまった
where
っ
did
け
I
な
put that again? The same envelope and contents have been sent to Kumasawa's son, who had once lived with her. But he had been very busy in the days since and seemed to have forgotten about it among the hustle and bustle of everyday life. But apparently its strange contents had stayed in his memory, and he remembered as soon as Ange told him. After a bit of wait, his thin-lipped wife came with the envelope, complaining that he always forgets where he put things. No modus operandi for the sender. Perché no? The modus operandi for the sender and recipient was exactly the same as Nanjo's son. The sender was made out to be Kumasawa's son, and the recipient was Kumasawa Chiyo. The destination address was in the Okinawa Prefecture. Yaeyama County, Yonaguni City, 12341-5167. Yonaguni Island is at the westmost tip of Japan. The number was exactly like before, a sequential number that had apparently been chosen at random. Now it is certain, this envelope was definitely sent with the goal of having it returned to the sender. Its contents were exactly the same, a letter with the PIN and the bank central branch written on it, swipe card, a key with an attached number tag. The description on the number tag was A113, the number right after the one on the key that had been sent to Nanjo's son. Most likely inside the vault was the same kind of duralumin case packed with 100 million yen in cash.
死んだお袋がメイドから送ってきたような気がしてね。
Qua se abbiamo la descrizione del... Eccolo. Kumasawa Sabakichi. Kumasawa's son works at the Nijima fishing harbor. he must have gotten his carefree, big-hearted personality from Kumasawa. Kumasawa had many sons, and a number of them were away from land as fishermen. It was purely coincident that it was possible to come in contact with him as he happened to be involved with the fishing harbor. Hopes are on him that he might have heard chatty Kumasawa let something important slip, but... Io non dico niente, ma vi sto leggendo. I got the feeling my mom has sent it from me from beyond the grave.
中身もよくわからんし、
I don't really
薄
get
気味
what's
悪いん
inside
で、
and
ずっと
it's
ほったら
creepy,
かし
so
にしてて、
I left it
今日まで
alone
すっか
all
り
this
忘れてたんで
time.
すわ。
He totally forgot it about until today.
お嬢さんはこれが何かご存知なんですかね。
You know what this is, girl?
ひょっとして
Could it be
あんたのとこにも
some
同
kind
じも
of
のが
thing? Could it be that the same thing came to your place?
どうしたんです
What is it, Ange-sama?
うりゅう頭痛
Headache?
ごめん
Something
頭が
head hurts.
刺さってる
Stabbing pain.
知ってる
You know this.
知ってるって
What do you mean
何
you
を
know this?
まさか
Don't mean
この封筒
this envelope
エンジ様のところ
came
に
to
も
you, to your place too, Ange-sama. I remember. A strange envelope was also sent to me 12 years ago. I have fallen into depression after losing my entire family, but it was really a strange thing to come in the mail, so a faint memory of it remained. It was a strange letter which I had no memory of sending, but which had me as the sender. I forgot the destination address, but the person it had been sent to was Ushiromi Rudolph, my father. I remember that I got this letter I thought was from my father who had died. I opened it up and found a key in a card, and I didn't really understand. I remember being really confused. I felt let down and threw it away somewhere, I think. Where did I put that envelope? I probably lost it somewhere in the chaos that followed. By now I have no way of checking its contents. But somehow I think I can guess. I'm sure the contents were the same. Without a doubt, there must have been a key, a card, and a note with a pin inside the envelope.
ベアトリーチェ、これは何のつもりよ。
What was she trying to do?
あいつは全ての遺族に
Hand
こんな
out
ふざけ
this
た金を
stupid
ばらまい
money
たと
to
いう
all
の。
surviving relatives?
死んだ後も苦労するなんて
For
許せない。
mocking them even after their deaths.
うりゅうエンジェ
Sakutaro acted nervously. As I looked at his worrying face, my agitation began to cool off bit by bit.
ごめ
Mi
んなさ
piace
い
che lei guarda Sakutaro e tipo...
ベアトリーチェ憎しは
Sorry,
今
my
に始
hatred
まった
of
ことじゃない
Beatrice isn't anything
あの
new.
6歳の日に
Just surprised and angry to find out that I had a connection with the witch already on that day.
驚きと怒りを感じただけよ。
この12年間
For the past 12
エンジ
years,
様はずっ
we
と
have been
ベア
enslaved
ト
by
リーチェ様の
Beatrice's
呪縛に
summer's
とらわれこ
curse.
れがその
This might be the
まさに
proof that
呪縛の証となるのかもしれ
this
ません
really was a
で
curse.
すがどうかしっかり
Don't fall apart.
それを打ち破るための
Please,
旅でもあるはずです
part of this journey should be to break through that.
そうね。
That's
頭に
right.
血を上らせた
Just
って
letting the blood
何の役にも
rise
立
to
た
my
ない。
head won't get me
冷
anywhere.
静に考えなくちゃ。
Got to think
これは
calmly.
どういうことなの？遺族に1億円を
What's the
ばらまく
meaning
意
of
味
handing
があ
out
る。
100 million yen to each of their relatives?
挑発だとでも言うの？
Was she trying to provoke
ベア
us?
トリーチェめ。
エンジェ落ち着いてウリュウ
As Sakutaro buried his head in my stomach, he urged me to stay calm. I took another deep breath and started thinking.
この封筒の送
I
付はつま
wonder
り
if the sender of
ベ
this
アトリーチェに
envelope
よる
was
事件の
to
計画性
demonstrate.
を裏付けるものかしら。
I wonder if the sending of these envelopes was to demonstrate that this was a premeditated crime by Beatrice. Beh, se adesso mettiamo in ordine le cose che sappiamo. Sappiamo che la persona che si firma Beatrice nel diario di Maria, che è anche la stessa persona che ha scritto le due lettere che sono state trovate dentro alle bottiglie di vino lasciate nel mare, no? Con la storia dentro, che firmate da Maria, e sono tutte scritte da Beatrice, tra virgolette. Quindi la stessa persona che si chiama Beatrice ha scritto le lettere queste, le lettere dentro le bottiglie, le dediche a Maria dentro il grimorio, il diario di Maria. Ok, è la stessa persona. Questa persona, che si chiama Beatrice, ha poi mandato queste lettere in nome dei sopravvissuti all'incidente di Rokkenjima. Li ha mandati però il giorno prima dell'inizio della conferenza. Quindi, se già avevamo un'idea che chi ha scritto le storie deve essere stato il colpevole, questo lo rende ancora più sospetto, perché ha mandato prima che i morti morissero una lettera a nome loro, cioè indirizzata a loro, in modo tale che i loro cari sopravvissuti a loro ricevessero poi 100 milioni di yen a testa. Ok, questo è quello che sappiamo, che è la stessa persona che ha scritto le altre cose e che li ha mandati in anticipo prima che queste persone morissero e appunto ha indirizzati a coloro che poi gli sarebbero sopravvissuti. Ok. They were postmarked right before the family conference, and they were intentionally set up so they would be sent back after some time.
事件の後に
Wanted them to
届くよう
arrive
にしたか
after
った
the
という
incident.
ことかな。
Is that it?
うん
Yeah,
そうなるわ。
that's what it implies.
でも
But
少し疑問
still
もある。
leaves me wondering a
なぜ
little.
こんな不確実
Why
な
such
方
an
法で？
uncertain method?
不確実？
Uncertain?
ええ、だって 何
After
日
all,
で
you
郵
can't
便が
even
戻って
guess
く
in
るかなん
advance
て
at how many
事前
days
に
it
は想
would
像
take
も
for
で
the
きない
mail
じゃ
to
ん。
return.
郵送先の郵便
Normally, you
局の
can't
調
even
査
guess
し
the amount of
送
time
付
it
先
would
不
take
明
for
と
the
判断
receiving
し
post
返送
office
す
to
るまで
do
の
the
期間が
research, make a
普通は
determination
想
of
像
the
もできな
unknown
い。
recipient, and send it back.
そういえばそうだね。
Now that
ち
you
ゃんと
mention
到
it,
着の期日
it
を
would
決め
be,
て
it would
そういう
it'd be
郵便
more
で出した方
certain
が
if they
確
just
実
set
なのよ
on
ね。
arrival date and mailed it that
う
way.
りは
Would you?
まあでも
Maybe, but
前
still,
日に投函
if
し
you
たんなら
mailed it the day
ど
before,
んな
then
に早
no
く
matter
戻
how
ってきても
quickly it returned,
きっと
it
月
would
曜
have
日以
probably
降に
arrived
到着
no
になった
earlier
でしょ
than
うし
Monday.
死者からの手
I
紙を
wonder if they
気
wanted
取り
to
たか
make
ったん
it
じゃないか
seem
しら。
like it was a letter from the dead.
死者からの手紙。
Letter from the dead, you say?
確かにね。あれは驚くし
That
嫌な気持ち
surprises
になる
you
わ
and
ね。
makes you feel
死んだ
horrible.
家族の名前
Some
が
mail with your
表
dead
に大き
family
く書かれている
names
郵便
written
物
on
が
it outside in large
物々
letters
しい付箋付きで
gets thrown into
郵
your
便局に
mailbox
放
with
り
a
込まれているんだ
ominous label attached.
でも
However, it
私
doesn't
は
really
何
make
か腑に
sense
落ち
to
ない
me.
わ。私だったら
I would have
期日
mailed
指
it
定郵
to
便に
arrive
す
on
る
a specific
ひょ
day.
っとしたら想定
Just
し
can't
ない日に届
understand
くか
why
もしれない
someone
という
would
不
arrive
安
in
定さが
security
私
of
に
it
はどうしても
possibly
理解でき
arriving
ない
on a day they weren't anticipating.
ウリュウでも確かにそういうの
But it really does sound
ベアト
like
らしいかなって思う。
あなた
You
ベアトの
know
ことわ
about
かるの？
Beato?
ちょっとしかお
Well,
話しした
I
こと
only
ない
talked
け
with
ど
her a little,
でも
but
ベアトならこう
somehow
い
I
うこ
can
とを
tell
す
that
るかな
Beato
って
would
の
do
が
something like
なん
this.
となくわかるの。マモンもなんとなく想像が
Can't
つ
you
かない
imagine that too, Mamo?
ベアトってこ
Beato
ういう
like
いたずら好
pranks
き
like
だよ
this,
ね。
right?
確かにそうか
Yeah,
も。
that might be
ベアド
true.
リーチェ様な
I
ら
wouldn't put it
死者
past
からの手
Beatrice
紙
sama to try
み
a
たいな
vicious
悪質ないた
prank
ず
like
ら
a
は
letter
やり
from
方
the
う
dead.
んそれだけ
No,
じゃな
not
くて
just that part.
絶対確実
Beatrice
な方
will find
法
it
じゃな
more
くて
fun to do it in a
ちょっ
way
ぴり
that
不確実
was
な
a
方法
little
の
bit
方をベアトリー
uncertain
チェは面白
instead
がる
of
の。
one that was absolutely certain.
不確実な方法を
She would
面白
find
が
an
る。
uncertain method more fun. I remember Maria Onechan's diary. He had quite a lot of description of playing with Beatrice. Occasionally, some of these involved Beato playing pranks on the adult relatives with Maria. And those pranks always followed a certain little aesthetic principle of which was that things are more fun if they are uncertain. One day, Maria Nechan had brought a wind-up minicar, and she and Beato decided to use it for pranks. For a prank. It was a popular toy at the time. If you made the minicar back up, it would wind up the spring in the tires, and when you let go, it would race forwards. They had wound up the minicar and set it in the shadow of a milk jug. In other words, the prank was that if you lifted the milk jug, the minicar would jump forwards and surprise whoever did it. Hoping that someone would get caught in this prank, Onechan and Beato had watched the adults from the shadows for their whole tea time. They were looking forward to seeing who would get caught by it, but ultimately no one moved the trapped milk jug, and the trap never went off. When Onechan muttered we should have put it somewhere where they'd definitely get caught by it, Beato apparently said this. She said, "Traps where you don't know who will get caught, or even whether anyone will get caught at all, are more thrilling and fun." It's probably true that you wouldn't get that kind of excitement for a trap that would definitely catch someone. This kind of description occurred in multiple places, making it possible to guess that the witch called Beatrice had quite a fickle character and loved a random thrill. A fickle person is very hard to deal with. I can flip over the chessboard to find out what the witch from 12 years ago was planning. As Ange thought things over, her gaze wandered from place to place. Then she suddenly showed interest in the wall. There was a number of framed photographs. A number of framed photographs were hung. Many were commemorative photos from when the Kumasawas got together as a family or went somewhere to play, and Kumasawa herself was in many of them. Still with a smile that made it so that you could almost hear her light-hearted laugh. It is a distant memory, but I do remember that she was definitely this sort of cheerful old lady. Mi sta venendo un po' il magone. Did you notice anything different about Kumasawa-san in the days leading up to the incident?
いやいつも通りに見えたな。親族会議はピリピリするから辛い辛いと漏らすのはいつものことでしたし。
これは
What's this? Among the numerous frames, there was one that had something other than a picture of people in it. It was a photograph of an enlarged relief of a door from a Western-style house or something. Couldn't see any interesting subjects in particular, which actually bugged me a bit. But as I wondered why anyone had gone all the way, I couldn't see any interesting subject in particular, which actually bugged me a bit. As I wondered why anyone had gone to all the trouble of taking it. As I got closer, I realized that some text had been written in pen.
ああ、それはお袋の形見分けでもらってきた写真ですわ。多分例の黄金伝説に関係したやつではないかと。
魔女の碑文ですか。10トンの黄金の隠し場所を示すと噂される。熊沢さんも挑んでおられたんですね。でもこれは碑文じゃない。初めて見るものです。
There was an arch above the Western-style door, and that arch had a relief. It was an inscription in English, and that seemed to be the focus of the photograph. The pen writing appeared to be a translation into Japanese.
この扉は1000兆分の1の確率でしか開かない。
This door will open with the probability of 1 to 1 quadrillion.
あなたは1000兆分の1の確率でしか祝福されない。知らないわ。こんな文章、碑文にもお姉ちゃんの日記にも出てこない。
Showed up in the epitaph for Onecha's diary. Allora, 1000, milioni, miliardi, triliardi, un quadrigliardo. Mi ricordo anche che è stato in episodio 2 quando sono andati nel voi non vedete il cursore, però li ho contati, no? Sì, ma scusami. Adesso voi non vedete. Aspetta, facciamo così. Ok, scusatemi, un secondo solo. Un secondo, vedete il cursore? 1, 10, 100, 1000, 10.000, 100.000, 1 milione, 10 milioni, 100 milioni, 1 miliardo, 10 miliardi, 100 miliardi, 1 triliardo, 10 triliardi, 100 triliardi, 1 quadriglione. Also I know that because I've read the novel. È 1 quadrigliardo. E comunque stavo anche per dire, se ricordo bene, è stato in episodio 2 che ci sono passati, non hanno letto, cioè hanno letto una cosa in inglese e tutti hanno capito meno che Butler, però noi guardavamo la reazione attraverso gli occhi di Butler, e Butler avrà detto una roba come quadrillion, perché è scemo, non sa leggere l'inglese. Esatto, al momento del Happy Halloween Maria. E dopo non ne hanno più parlato. Io ero lì tipo... Però... ok, riprendo. This door will open with a probability of 1 quadrillion. You will be blessed with a probability of 1 quadrillion. I don't know it. Nothing like this ever showed up in the epitaph or Nechan's diary.
お袋の遺品の中に碑文の
In
謎解き
Mom's
に挑戦してい
belongings,
ると
there
思
were
われ
quite a
る
few
写真やノ
photos
ート
and
が
notebooks
結
that
構出て
looked
きたん
like
で
they
す
were
わ
from trying to solve... Mamma mia. Looked like they were from her trying to solve the epitaph's
お
riddle.
袋も案外
Turns out
そういうのが好きだったんだな
she was surprisingly fond of that kind of thing.
なんでも10トンの金塊が隠され
There
てたっ
was
て
that
噂
rumor
だ
that 10 tons of gold bars were hidden
そ
somewhere.
りゃあお袋
No
も夢中
wonder
にな
she
る
was
はずで
trying.
すわ
She was so besotted by it. Ve le immaginate? Kumasawatrice. Kumasawa che trova l'oro. E c'è Kumasawatrice. Vabbè. In both Maria Nechan's diary and her grimoire, there was a description of the witch's epitaph. It mentioned about how it was a ritual to open the door to the Golden Land, and Beatrice's resurrection ritual, and Beatrice's succession ceremony, and so on. Maybe the most interesting one was the last line, the succession ceremony. According to Beatrice, if we were able to solve the witch's epitaph, you would receive not only 10 tons of gold and the Ushiromiya family inheritance, but her own magical power and name, as well as the title of the Golden Witch. Happiness of Mackerel. Amongst the Ushiromiyan family at the time, the witch's epitaph was thought as a difficult quiz, which the head Kinzo had prepared to select his successor. But in the mariage sorcière interpretation, the questioner was Beatrice herself, and she had posed the question in part to choose her successor. There were slight discrepancies in the details of the two interpretations. Either way, its disturbing contents brought to the mind a bloody serial murder, and both of the message bottles depicted a crime that followed that pattern. If I could solve the witch's epitaph now, 12 years later, I wonder if I could expose some plot made back then. I tried to solve it many times myself, but never did have a clue what it meant. It seems that many witch hunters have been trying as well. I also found theories like the La Plata theory and the Eunora theory in certain books. However, none of these theories were conclusive.
他にも資料が
Are there any other materials?
あると思うけど
I think
兄
so,
弟
but
で
it was
適
split
当に
up
分けた
between
から
all
な
my siblings.
誰が何を持ってるやら
Who
さっぱりです
was
わ
that?
申し訳ない
この熊沢さんが撮影
Just
した
reading
英
this
文だけ
English
読むと
text that
めった
Kumasawa-san
に
took
開
a
かれない
picture
開
of
かずの扉と
gives
い
me
う
the
印象を受
impression
け
that this was a forbidden door, rarely
で
opened.
もこれは屋敷のど
Where
こ
in
か
the
しら
mansion is it, I wonder?
光の具合から
Judging by
屋
the
外みたい
lights,
だ
it
けど
looks like it's
熊沢さん
outside.
は
I
この
wonder
中
if
にその黄金
Kumasawa-san
が隠され
suspected
てい
that
る
the
と
gold
睨んで
was
たのか
hidden
しら
there.
さあ
Who
い
knows?
ずれにせよ
In
ロ
any
ッケン
case,
島の
it's
屋敷の
probably
どこかでしょ
somewhere
う
in
な
the Rokkenjima
おふくろ
mansion.
の預金口座に
It's
は
a pity,
残
but
念だが
there
黄金を
wasn't
発見した
the,
と思えるようなお
there
金は
wasn't
入
the
って
kind
ま
of
せん
money
で
in
し
my
たよ
mom's bank account to make me think she found the gold.
さすがに見
She
つからんか
probably
ったでし
didn't
ょう
find it
な
after all. Che carino, proprio come Kumasawa. The Golden Witch Beatrice gave 10 tons of gold to Kinzo, which meant that the witch was the true owner of the gold. Beatrice was the owner of all the vast fortune of the Ushiromiya family. The witch holding this vast wealth had massacred the humans of Rokkenjima on that day, and sent large amounts of money to the surviving relatives like it was a game. Like hell, it's a letter from the dead. This is a desecration of the dead. I was once again convinced my family, who died on this island, on that island that day, didn't die and go to heaven. They're being trapped by the witch even now, and are being desecrated and tormented for all eternity. The last place Ange visited was a store in a region where residential and commercial areas intermingled, with a signboard saying Marufuku Sleep Shop. Vedremo un altro parente di qualcuno? There lived a man who had been the captain of the ferry boat to Rokkenjima at that time. Even he, who had once lived as a man of the sea, had retired after contracting a serious illness, and was now being taken care of at the house of his son as his son's Captain Kawabata. No, niente parenti. Captain Kawabata, an old man who used to be the captain of the high-speed boat that went to Rokkenjima and back. It is beyond doubt that of the existing survivors, he is one of those who know. It is beyond doubt that one of the existing survivors is one of those who know the most about Rokkenjima, from various comments by the servants who used to go to and from the island. The media hoped that he might be quite knowledgeable about the internal affairs of the Ushiromiya family. However, he would say nothing, and so they eventually began to forget about this old man. Questo forse l'avevamo visto. I remember you well. You were about high. Look at you now. You must have been absolutely devastated. I understand how you feel. Believe me. The former boat captain was so full of energy that you couldn't really tell why he had retired in the first place. His memory seemed clear too. He had a good memory of things that had happened more than a decade prior, and it seems that he could even remember how Ange had been at the time. The lively conversation was very helpful for Ange, but at the same time the captain also remembered the final family conference very well, and the fact that he had detailed memories of even butlers gonna fall uproar on the boat was instead painful for Ange. It had been so back then as well. But even now there was no public way to cross to Rokkenjima. It was necessary to make an individual request to an owner of a boat to make the voyage. I still hadn't managed to arrange for a boat to Rokkenjima, so if he refused me, the voyage to Rokkenjima would probably become hopeless. No need to explain. It'd be no easy job finding a boat willing to go to that island at this point. Nowadays, some of them don't even call it Rokkenjima anymore. They call it by its own name, Akujikijima. Akujikijima. Sì, ho letto bene, Akujikijima. Can't see you getting any sailor around here to help you out. Originally, Rokkenjima had been feared as an island of disaster by the fishermen, and when that incident happened 12 years ago, that fear reached its peak. They respected the sea, feared it, and revered it. There were almost no sailors who would try to take a boat to that cursed island. Because of that, most of the witch hunters were unable to cross over to Rokkenjima, and were limited to taking a trip around the island. Ironically, this caused the mystique surrounding Rokkenjima to increase even more, and resulted in the proliferation of the bizarre witch stories they loved so much. Would you take me in your boat?
明日だけ返してもらう約束になっとる。
They're supposed to give her back to me if just for
最近は
tomorrow.
エンジンがだ
I
いぶ
heard
ご
the
機嫌
Ange has
斜
been
めらし
acting
いが
up
な。
lately
かっ
though.
飛ばしてやる
Well,
わい。
crank it up to full throttle. The former boat captain promised that tomorrow he will go back to his previous job and take his boat out to Rokkenjima. With this, I'd imagine to secure a method of transport to the Rokkenjima. This is probably all I can do on Nijima. All that's left is tomorrow. On Rokkenjima, I'll reach the final destination of a journey that stretched back 12 years.
よかったね。
That's great
これで
news.
島へ行けるようにな
You'll
った
be
ね。
able to go see the island now.
そうね。
Yes.
船を見つけるのは難しいと聞いて
I
いたから
heard that it would be hard to
船長
find
が
a
協
boat,
力的で
so
助かったわ
boat captain's cooperation really helped me out.
エンジ様ほどではないにしても
Although he may not have been as badly affected as you,
船長
Ange-sama,
にとっても
I'm
12
sure
年前
that
の
the
事件
incident
は
12 years ago
未だ抜けない
had
トゲ
been
な
a
んでしょう
thorn
ね。
from the boat captain as well, one that still hasn't been able to pull out.
ウリュウ、船長さんも
Even the captain
心の
wasn't
整
able
理
to
がつか
find
なかったんだ
closure
ね、ずっと。
this whole time.
そりゃそうでしょう。
Well,
約
yeah.
束通り10
If
月
that
2日
guy
に
had taken his boat
あの
out
じいさんが
on
船を出し
October
てくれれ
5th
ば
as promised,
大勢が
there's a
助かっ
chance
た
that
可
he
能
could have
性があ
saved
る。
a great many
ちょっ
people
と風が強い
if
か
he
ら。
hadn't been hesitant with
船を
his
絞ら
boat
なけれ
just
ば。
because of a little wind.
ウリュウ、
Oh,
そ
you
んな
you
こと
shouldn't
言っちゃ
say
ダメ
things
だよ。
like that.
船長さん
I'm
も
sure that
それを今日まで
that's pained the
ずっと
captain
苦しんでき
constantly
たはず
until
だよ。
today. I heard that he truly had been right in the middle of a typhoon on October. I heard that he had truly been right in the middle of a typhoon on October 5th. According to the boat captain, he had known for certain that they would be trapped by the typhoon if they headed to Rokkenjima on October 4th. But the family had been very insistent upon that date, which had been determined beforehand as the date of the conference. It was only natural, as all of the adults had their own packed schedules and had come to the family conference having arranged those schedules in advance. They probably had their own circumstances preventing them from easily pushing it back to next week just because the typhoon was approaching. It wasn't the boat captain's fault, but perhaps you could say that he didn't feel so guiltless that he could place the blame wholly on the typhoon. Certainly the events of 12 years ago, along with him, certainly ho letto così, cioè ho letto la prima parola e poi sono passato qua sotto. Certainly, just as these two said, there's no doubt that the boat captain has been dragging the events of 12 years ago along with him this whole time. And by taking me, the last member of the Ushiromiya line, to the island and bringing me back safely, he might be trying to find some resolution for the past.
船は昼過ぎに帰ってくることになって
The
る。
boat's meant to be coming back just after noon. Ah, ok, just afternoon, subito dopo
そ
mezzogiorno.
れからあんたをロッケン
I'll
島へ
take you
案
to
内するか
Rokkenjima
ら
after that.
到
We
着は
should
夕
get
方
there
前
before
になるだ
evening.
ろう。電気も明かりもない
It's
島だ。
an island without electricity or
あまり
lights.
長いはできんぞ
Won't be able to stay
そ
long.
の程度の上陸で
Is a short
あん
trip
たの
like
気は
that
済むか
gonna
ね
satisfy you?
長い舌から何
It's
か
not
の
that
気が
kind
済
of
む
thing where,
where
where staying longer will satisfy you
船を
more.
出してもらえるだけで
I'm
も
grateful
感謝
just
し
to
ま
have
す
you take me there.
うんすまんなわしが船を手放してい
If
な
I
けれ
hadn't
ば
parted with my
ケチな
boat,
ことを
I
言わ
would
ず
have,
好きな
I
だけ
wouldn't
島へ案
have
内
be
して
so
やれるん
stingy,
だな
and I'd be able to take you on the island as much as you like. It's not like I have a goal of doing something in particular on Rokkenjima, so the time of day I'll be staying there is evening. The evening which straddles the two different worlds of days and night seemed almost like a borderline between this world and the next, or possibly between 1998 and 1986, and felt like the most fitting time to visit Rokkenjima. It's not like I'll be doing anything on that island. Staying there for just a few hours will be just fine if I can feel some closure. At that time, there was a small knock on the paper sliding door, and Amakusa stuck his head in, tapping his watch. I nodded back and told him I've gotten hold of a boat for
そ
tomorrow.
れはよかっ
That's
た。そろ
great.
そろ参りましょう。
It's about time for us to go.
船長、明
We'll
日
be,
はよろしくお
we'll
願
be
いします
counting。on you tomorrow, Captain.
ああ任せておけお前さんたちの難儀な
I know
事
all
情
about
も
the
聞いとる
troubles you've had.
わしも
当時のワイドショーを見ていて面白半分に事件をかき回す連中に虫唾が走っとったもんだ。協力は惜しまんよ。
ありがとうございます。それでは明日お昼にこれ船代に。
The fare for the boat. Ange took a wrapped wad of 10,000 yen bills from her pocket. The boat captain must have seen its thickness as well, but he paid it absolutely no interest and shook his head.
わしはお前さんに感謝しと俺は天のお導きだ。あんたをロッケン島へ連れて行き、そして無事に連れ帰る最後のチャンスをくださったんだ。わしは金蔵さんに任されていた最後の仕事を今ようやく終えることができる。だからあんたには感謝してる。金は当時の金蔵さんからたらふくもらってる。あんたから取れんよ。
ありがとうございます。
階段足元に気をつけてな。
Watch your steps on the stairs.
急だぞ。
They're all doozy. No, they're a doozy. Went down the step staircase. There was the exact opposite of accessible. It was getting hard to believe that there had been actually a chest of drawers and a TV in the room upstairs. Most of the first floor was a bedding store with many futons piled up on each other. The captain followed behind us as we weaved our way through the cramped futon shop. After cautiously checking around the side, Amakusa dashed out first and started up the car.
孫の部屋が空いとる。
My grandkid's room is
泊まって行
empty.
っても構わんの
Really
に。
wouldn't mind if you stayed
見て
here.
の通り、布団なら有
As
り
you
余
can
っとる
tell,
ぞ。
I'm up to my eyes in futons.
ありがとうございます。
Thanks a lot for the offer,
万一の時、
but I can't
ご
cause
迷
you
惑はか
trouble
けられま
if
せんので。
worst comes to worst.
事情は知らんが、
Don't know your
相当
circumstances,
な厄
but
介
it
に
seems
巻き
to
込ま
me
れ
like
てる
you're
よう
caught
だ
up
な。
in a lot of trouble.
うさんくさい連中
There's
が
rumors of
人
shady
探しをしてい
people.
ると噂になっとる。
There's rumors some shady people are on the lookout for
あんた
someone.
のことじゃないのか
Wouldn't
さ
ね。
happen to be you, would it?
あ、
How should I know? Ange played dumb, but it looked as though the boat captain had guessed.
わしはロッケン島を目指す
The
客
job
人を
was
送
to
り
take
届け、
visitors to
そして
Rokkenjima over
迎え
to
に
the
行き、
island.
連れ帰ることが仕事だった。その仕事を
That job
12 年
was
前に中断
interrupted
したま
12
ま
years ago.
まだ終えてない。
Still hasn't been finished.
だからわしは
Thanks to you.
あんたのおかげで
So
その
thanks
仕
to
事
you,
を
I'm
ようや
finally
く
going
終え
to
る
be
こと
able
が
to
できる
finish
んだ。
that job.
だから
So what I'm saying is,
わしにその仕事を
please
終えさせてくれよ。
let me finish the job.
わかってるな。
You understand?
ええ、
Yes.
別に私は
It's
死
not
に
like
に
I'm
行くん
going
じゃ
to
ない。
die. No, it's not like I'm going there to die. But part of me does feel that if I could die on that island, I would surely be able to go to where my family is. If I had finally... Scusatemi. I had finally become the vaffanculo, porca puttana. I had finally become aware of it. I might have been planning to die on that island. Might have come all this way heading for Rokkenjima in search of a place to die. The boat captain had guessed that as well. And so, for emphasis, he told me again, don't.
ええ、死にません。
I
約
won't.
束します。
I promise.
そもそも私、
In the first place,
どうしてロッケン島に行かなくて
I'm
はならない
clear
のかの
about
目
why
的さ
I
え、
even have to go
未
to
だにあやふや
Rokkenjima.
なんですから。
What the purpose is at all.
いや、目的はきっとある。
I'm sure there's gotta be one.
あんたにないなら、
If
それ
there
は
isn't one
彼
for
らに
you,
あるん
then
だ。
there is one for them.
島があんたを呼んだ。
The island called you.
だからあんたはここまで
That's
来た
why
んだ。
you came here.
そうかもしれません
You
ね。
might be right.
私は
I might
呼ばれ
have
た
been
のかもしれ
called.
ない。
I was called. For what reason? For them. Mom, Dad, Mater Nichan, and Maria Nichan, and maybe the Golden Witch, Beatrice. What does Rokkenjima have for me? What will I achieve? Even though tomorrow was almost upon me at last, I still wasn't able to understand my own mission. There was a sound of a car stopping in front of the store, and a short honk could be heard. Then, maybe see you tomorrow. Have a nice evening. I got past the stacks of futons in the narrow store and was about to go outside. Just then, my feet stopped. Well, what is it? What is that? That? What are you talking about? Trembling all over, I pointed at it. But no matter how much the boat captain screamed, he noticed absolutely nothing in that direction that would have surprised me. That means... That means... Possible. Why?
Ange,
Why? What's going on? Clue either. There's no way something that's ridiculous. This is magic. Miracle? This is probably fate. Just understood. This is my mission. I don't have a clue. I was frozen in position, shaking, pointing into the semi-darkness inside the store. What is it? What's over there? I don't understand. What is it that you see? Thank you, Captain. All of it. It was fate. Even me visiting this place was fate. This is the mission and the purpose that I'm going to Rokkenjima for. Ange-san? What is it? Something wrong? I'm as clueless as you. She's just gone still, a statue pointing into the darkness. Ange-san? You're all right. Can you see? Can't you do see it? That! Right there! Can't you see it? All you can see is a normal display space. There's no one there, you see? I don't know what's going on. Is this dream? Magic? What's happening? Sakutaro lifted his face towards Ange. From her eyes slid a single tear. Understand. So this is magic. Ange piange. E non ci hanno detto che cazzo è! Ma come vi permettete?